Welcome back to the week of wrestling, ladies and gentlemen. I'm your host, Tony Chambers. I'm joined by my co-host, Ryan Payne. How's it going, man?
I am doing completely well. It's been one hell of a weekend, but honestly, the show we're building now to a month of more wrestling content, and so the feast is never truly over.
That is very much true. Tonight, we are talking about AEW Dynasty live from St. Louis, Missouri. First off, give it up to that fucking crowd, man. Every single match, they were on point. They were chanting, they were booing, they were coming up with very unique chants, which we'll get into. I love the chants that the St. Louis crowd came up with. So, overall thoughts on the show, in my opinion, this is probably top 5 of my favorite AEW pay-per-views of all time. I still
Honest,
think I still think All Out 2021 is my number one favorite because I think that's it. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's where you have the Adam Cole debut and the Bryan Danielson debut, correct?
yes, it was
Yeah.
2021.
That's still up there. But man, every single match on this card, and even one match that people hate, I didn't even mind that much. Yeah, I really love the show. Ryan, what do you think about the show?
Honestly, this was a great show, and surprisingly though, that this show moves at such a pace that by the
Mm-hmm.
time we got to Osprey and Danielson, I was surprised that over 3 hours had gone by.
Yeah.
And this, like, they knew, and people were complaining. And this fun, I was gonna pretty much. Oh my god, I'm stumbling because I have so much. Let me just go on my notes here. Okay, people complained that AEW's pay per views in the past, when they were like 4 or 5 hours, they were always like, "Oh, too many matches. Some matches didn't need to be on the card." There's that complaint could be used maybe for 1 or 2 matches, but
Mm-hmm.
beyond that, they all still worked out perfectly with the story that was going into them. To where
Yeah.
I'm like, they didn't even need to be on zero. I mean, Bullet Club, Bullet Club Gold and the Acclaimed, I felt should have been on the main card instead of 0 hour,
That's fair.
since they were unifying those trios belts.
Mm-hmm.
Because I thought that deserved more. That deserved more on it, and maybe the one match I would have sacrificed onto 0 hour could have been, probably would have been the trios match with the House of Black,
Actually,
or the FTW Championship.
I would have put that one in the main event of 0 hour.
Yeah, because that also could have, like, there could have been a story there for Jericho to really rile on the fact that
Mm-hmm.
they were on 0 hour and not a pay per view.
Yeah.
That could work well. But actually, I should need to do research on Jericho. Like, how has he not been on an AEW pay per view in a while? You know, I'll think about that some other time. I think, but beyond that, I truly enjoyed this. Uh,
Can you
Hunter,
hear me?
can you hear? You froze a bit. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
All right. Sweet. You ready to get back or get into the first match of the card?
Yeah, hold on. I just wanted to finish up my thoughts when I saw
Okay.
you were frozen. What I wanted to say was that despite the run time, this match went very well. And if people were actually putting a pool of predictions bets on there, I would say about 80-90% of people may have gotten their predictions correct on this show.
Mm-hmm.
And also, hopefully in the future, if Dynasty is meant to be AEW's pay per view, where every belt is going to be on the line, this is the pay per view to do it.
I didn't think about that. That could be like their Night of Champions.
Yeah, because look, outside of the House of Black trios match and Osprey and Danielson, every match was for a championship.
Mm-hmm.
But I am ready to get going. I'm ready to do
Ooh.
this.
Should we talk about 0 hour for a minute? I didn't watch all of it. I did watch the main the trios unification match. I am so glad that they are just consolidating into one trios titles. Um, because then I feel like now you've got a lot of trios that can come in from Ring of Honor, that can come in from, just already being a faction, that you have enough to make a separate, just one trios division.
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this on off before when the Bang Bang Scissor Gang first started.
Mhm.
You pretty much smelled the writing on the wall. You saw the writing on the wall. You saw that
Yeah.
they were going to unify those belts. To me, I was just more of, don't unify them. I mean,
Mhm.
it's really kind of constantly have been floating ROH in between AEW and having ROH on their own, like with Honor Club. But to me, I just felt that if Tony wants to really elevate belts, really needs to focus on building the division around that. And
Mhm.
to be honest, during the start point of AEW, like year one, the Bucks and Kenny were so high on establishing the trios division because
Mhm.
that's what they love doing in the independent scene. So when we got those trios belts, I really thought we're definitely finally building this up. But you know, brawl out happened. That had to take a back seat. They came back though, and I thought that was going to happen, but they did a good job, at least with the House of Black, really trying to establish those belts. And
Yeah.
with with, I'll admit there has been there has been a lot of stopgaps with the Acclaim's run. To me, I
Mhm.
felt the Acclaim should have just lost those belts, then maybe gain them back so we can bring up more. But
Yeah.
it made sense with Bullet Club Gold winning because Jay White and the Guns, whether you don't know if you don't know how to feel about them, they really are a hot commodity.
Mhm. I just I wish or I hope that now that Bullet Club Gold are the Undisputed Trios champions, that we can start really going into the Trios divisions more. Because I feel like with the injury of Ray Phoenix, that really slowed the Trios division title down, or the division down, because Death Triangle was a big part of the Trios division. With Pac back, once Phoenix is back, I feel like you'll have a lot of different trioses to work
I
around
also
each
think
other.
you also got to take in Chuck Taylor being injured as well because Best Friends
Yeah,
that and Orange Cassidy that was definitely a trio, and
not
then you have
anymore.
yeah, not anymore. And then of course there was Top Flight and Action Andretti, great as a
Yep.
trio. House of Black, like there really even on Ring of Honor there was there were some combination of trios teams. There was the Iron Savages.
Dude,
There's the
I fucking love Lance Archer and the Righteous.
Yeah, I was gonna mention them too. The Righteous and Lance Archer. That's also a
Hmm.
great setup, and that's also a great unit. And the fact that they had this great introduction during the build with the Better Than You Bebe, I was just like, man, that was a missed opportunity for Tony to get these guys more TV time, other than just keep
Yep.
them on ROH. As much as and the funny thing is, this is probably something for another time. I am off the train of ROH should not be behind a subscription paywall because seeing a couple of ROH matches on the Honor Club, they
Mhm.
are doing things to I think that resembles AEW during their first 2 years, and
Yeah.
it's more. But this is a focus on Dynasty right now. I'll find another time to talk about this.
So yes, Bullet Club Gold did take the titles. They are the Undisputed Trios champions.
I did like
Um,
though how they really built it was a fight for them to get those belts off of the Acclaim. Like Jay White was doing his dirty tricks, and I loved how
the
Daddy
one
Ass
thing
just kept like fuck. He was like no, no.
that's one thing I didn't like. I don't like that they made Billy Gunn feel like such a Superman in this match. I mean,
Really.
look, to be fair, I love Billy Gunn, but I did not like what he did with Jay White, where he just kicked his ass for like 10 minutes and then it ended in a DQ. I just, that stuff can hurt someone's career trajectory when you're not getting a comeback against someone who's almost 60 years old.
You do have a point there, but the thing with I think the reason why I think I let that slide because Jay's character has made a bit of a transition change.
Mhm.
He's not. I mean, because I think the point of the Bang Bang Scissor Gang in the start uh was to rival and combat the Undisputed Kingdom, which
Which
that
they
was
never did.
I know it was a thread that was just left hanging in the wind.
Hmm.
And then Jay's character throughout most of the time, as you've seen through some of the skits and some of the video packages, that they mainly just resolve themselves to be just almost like acting like frat boys. So even though Jay White is an accomplished wrestler, he's very fucking skilled in the ring. Just
Hmm.
to see the current version of Jay White that we're seeing, especially after the Continental Classic, Jay White seems to be someone who is not going to put his energy in on something that's not worth the time. Which
Oh
why
yeah.
when you remember that promo that Darby Allin did against Jay White, he was telling Jay to bring his best in that match
Mhm.
against him. But once he did that, to me, it feels like Jay's only gonna turn that up for a real challenge. So that
Mhm.
match kind of, and I think that's why when Billy Gunn was just kicking his ass across the ring, across Dynamite, that kind of reminded Jay, no, I can't do that. So you did see him at least pull out tricks up his sleeve throughout the match, especially using the gold
Yeah.
bat.
The only thing I would change about that segment, and we're getting kind of off topic, but it's still kind of in this
Mm-hmm.
the trio's 0 hour. The only thing I would change about that is I would have Jay White outsmart Billy Gunn and just have him find a way to sneak out a victory, whether it's using the gun club to,
Mm-hmm.
the guns to come out and, maybe rope tie their father, and then he hits the Blade Runner and
Mm-hmm.
just kind of sneaks his way out. Because just to have him, get his ass kicked for about 5 minutes and then end in a DQ, it doesn't do anything for Jay in that match.
I do understand, but I also think it. But as I mentioned, but one thing I think it adds a little extra an extra nuisance to Jay's character, because in the Continental Classic he could not have the guns with him at ringside,
Mhm.
so Jay throughout that entire tournament had to do nothing but fight. Meaning he did have to use his mind to pull some fast ones, but when it came to
Yeah,
matches against Swerve, or when he had to fight against
Moxley and Swerve in the three
yeah,
way.
yeah, he couldn't do anything like that. But even then, the matches he had to face going up, leading in, he had to really pull wins. Like even against
Mm,
Mark Briscoe in the Gold League, he couldn't just go at ease with him because Briscoe's bringing intensity. Same with his
yeah.
match against Jay Lethal. So,
Hmm.
but once the Continental Classic was over, Jay started really less resting on his laurels, which were the guns. Jay just kind of wanted to come in, put in minimal effort. That's what I was getting off his character. So that's
Yeah.
why I saw here. Then that's why I'm seeing him carrying around that gold bat. He's trying to find ways to not, not to put more energy out in his
Hmm.
wrestling.
I guess as someone who watched Jay White's career from Ring of Honor to
Hmm.
when he became Switchblade in New Japan, it kind of seems like they're doing nothing with Jay White when he debuted, and yes, he got a world title shot, but it didn't make him look that good when he lost to a one-armed world champion.
Yeah,
So,
that is one of my criticisms of
mhm.
the match at Full Gear. But if it's playing into a story they're building with Jay's character,
Yeah.
hopefully it's more of like you're not the killer that you think that he thought he was in New Japan.
If that's
Because
the
even in New
story, then that's
Japan,
great.
yeah,
I'm sorry. If that's the story, that Jay is so cocky in himself that he doesn't feel like he has to try, then that's a good story. I just wish they would kind of get to that kind of sooner.
yeah, I know that they would be a little more clear with it. I know that they're trying to be nuanced with some of their storytelling.
Hmm.
And to be honest, I don't think Jay White needs to be rushed into a world title reign at this point. I think
No.
he's gonna. I think I kind of like what they're. Hopefully when Juice Robinson comes back from injury, maybe they'll do the thing to where Juice Robinson will be the person to carry the trios belt with the guns, and then Jay can be on his own, or they'll have Juice do a singles run. I mean, right now it definitely feels like the main focus with Jay White and Bullet Club Gold is really building them as a unit.
Yeah. The only thing I would like more is if Juice is the reason why Jay becomes the killer again. He comes back and is like, "What the hell are you doing, man?" Slaps some sense into him, and Juice is the one that really fires up Jay, and then we get kind of this killer run for Jay. Maybe leading to maybe a match against Adam Copeland for the TNT title. I think that'd be fucking awesome.
Yeah, and that is something to look forward to. But like other like most fans out there, I'm not in a rush with it with Jay.
Yeah.
Unless Jay, I mean, because it does seem to me with Jay, he is from New Zealand, so he most likely has to deal with visa issues having to be available for shows at this point.
Mhm.
So wait, I am right. He is from New Zealand.
Yes.
Yes, so like Jay, and he's it wasn't like with Japan though, to where he had an international visa that, and then Japan worked out to where he could be with them for like a 5 to 6 month period. It's definitely
Yeah.
different here in the U.S. because it's one thing most of us fans need to realize with international talent. even if they do have homes here, they're not natural. They're not like naturalized citizens. They still have
Mhm.
to rely on renewing their passports or renewing their visas in order to at least
Work.
work in the country for long periods of time.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm proning off here, but I'm just going to use this one example. Ashita, when Sheeta got signed to AEW, she made the commitment to fully be in the U.S. Like she worked to make sure her visa kept her in the country for more than 4 to 5 months. She bought a home in the
Mhm.
U.S. She was one of the few international talents that was constant on AEW TV during the pandemic, which is one of the reasons why she had a long reign as a champion.
Yeah.
But once, I think but when Sheeta started seeing that she was not being used as much, and then once things started being opened up more, she definitely started working more in Japan.
Mhm.
Maybe she'll start being. I mean, she was just used. She was used as Super Card of Honor against Athena. I'm pretty
Fucking
sure
hell of a
it's a
match.
great match. And I'm seeing with Jay, maybe if there's a point where Jay is going to be like, if he wants to commit to more dates and months, then
Mhm.
we may see Jay get put a single championship, maybe put on Jay to where he can wrestle like at least for like between certain pay per views, like for instance from Full Gear to Dynasty, like in that situation.
What's the deal with Osprey? He's there. It seems like every week, but he still lives in England.
I don't know with Osprey. That's one. I mean, I really don't want to pry into what the wrestlers like,
Mhm.
situation is, and I definitely don't want to use their not being natural citizens as an excuse why they're not on television a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just like one of those instances when you see fans complain, why isn't Penta like being used on TV a lot, or why are we
Yeah.
not seeing Ray a lot, or why is Roosh not being? What about what happened to LFI? I'm like, Roosh, he's choosing which days he wants to, perform for wrestling.
Mhm.
He also contributes to AAA and CMLL.
Yep.
So it's just more of like if you're not willing to do the research or really to look into a wrestler, like what they're committing themselves to. If you're
Mhm.
just there to just simply watch AEW or WWE on T, well, actually WWE doesn't allow their wrestlers to do outside contract of WWE. But if you want to be committed to AEW and then you're constantly having these questions and you don't even want to take a look at it and you're just watching it solely on television, I'm not going to force you to look at any of that stuff. Just don't
Mhm.
be the kind of person who's going to throw this random comment and then complain when 5, 10, 11 people come shoot back at you for giving you the same exact reason.
Yeah. All right. So let's move on to our first of the actual card, and this was a banger, man. For the AEW Continental Championship, Kazuchika Okada, the champion, versus the Bastard Pac. I love the Continental Championship being defended by itself and under Continental rules,
Yeah,
which
it's
is no
fantastic.
outside interference. And what's cool about it is it seems like every championship in AEW, um, for the most part, has some sort of tweaks to them. Like the Continental Championship is, more of, I would say, kind of like a pure championship without the rope breaks. It's like no outside interference, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and hopefully, because even though Tony Khan has pointed out like what the rules are for the Continental Championship to be defended, I really hope that when the next Continental Classic comes up, the winner of that is someone who goes on to challenge for the Continental Championship. And I kind of, in a
Ooh.
way, personally to me, I kind of want the Continental Championship to be very niche, where you have to have had participated in the Continental Crown to challenge for it. But because it's brand new right now, I'm not
Mhm.
expecting that kind of niche. Because if that was the niche, then we would be seeing Okada go up against Brody King, Daniel Garcia,
Oh my god.
Jay
Okada and
Lethal,
Brody King.
Swerve, John Moxley. Like already, the participants in that Continental Crown can literally set Okada all the way to the end of the year.
Mm-hmm.
But even then,
Not a
Pac
bad
is a
idea.
great challenger. He's a great first challenger for Okada.
100%. This match got a standing ovation when the bell rung. That's how you knew the St. Louis crowd was gonna go fucking nuts. But this match was great, man. I love heel Okada. I know some people don't because they saw him in New Japan. but the work he's doing as a heel with very, very limited range of English ability is amazing because his facial expressions tell it all. That smug smile he has when he's shaking hands with the Young Bucks, and you
Yeah.
have the Bucks as his mouthpiece. It works so well. And fucking Pac, man, he makes everything look fucking effortless, and he does in this match as well. I love um, that Okada worked over the head and neck of Pac for the majority of the match.
And Pac
He
did the same thing by working on the right
the
shoulder of
arm,
Okada so he doesn't use that rainmaker. Like
yep,
that's one thing I did love in this match is that even on the commentary with Excalibur and Jim Ross, they're really, really telling you that these men they are aware of how dangerous they are, so they're trying
yep,
to isolate certain body parts to prevent them from doing certain moves.
exactly. Fucking Okada hits a rope, a a DDT to the outside to Pac.
Yes.
That so Pac his feet is on the guardrail. He DDTs him. Every time Pac takes a DDT, it looks fucking devastating, and I love his kind of just like popping his neck back and just kind of folding forward.
Hmm.
Looks so good when he does it.
Yeah, like he really does like well, like the first time when Pac did that, it really felt like he was being discombobulated. Like he had to regain his
Mm-hmm.
not composure, but he had to find his center of gravity in a way to be like he's gonna start wobbling all over the place. Like he really got discombobulated from that DDT. So I really
Yeah.
did enjoy seeing that.
The end of the match, I absolutely love. Pac goes up for the Black Arrow, and Okada pulls the referee in front of him, using him as a referee shield. So Pac goes down, beats him up some more, goes back up for the Black Arrow, and he gets met with a fucking double knees
Oh,
to
oh
to the
yeah.
face, and then Okada hits the Rainmaker for the victory. This was a fucking fantastic opener.
I did love a little bit in the match when Pac does the 450, and
Mhm.
then even though it wasn't secured, but then when Pac wants to go again, go up top again, and then Okada catches him. I do love how at first it looked like he's gonna do almost like a Death Valley driver, but then Pac reverses it into the brutalizer,
Yeah, so
and I
cool.
and then you do see with Okada the desperation in him to where he is raking Pac's eyes in order
Mhm.
to get that edge on him. I mean, because so far we've seen with the Brutalizer, not many wrestlers have been shown to reverse it or find ways to get out of it. They just most likely had to, use a rope break or they just pass out. So
Yeah.
that was a nice little touch that Okada, at least, even though it was dirty tactics, you do see he's one of the few wrestlers who can get out of that move.
Oh yeah, definitely. What would you rate this match out of 5?
Oh boy, man! I would rate this on a pure straight wrestling match. This is 100. This is a four and two, four like 4.25 stars.
Okay, I would give it a 4.5. I think it was a really strong opener.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our second match, which I had fun with this match. Adam Copeland, Mark Briscoe, and Eddie Kingston versus the House of Black. I'll start by saying this. I love the fact that Malachi and Copeland never met each other and wrestled until the very end of this match because they're setting up for Malachi to go after Copeland's TNT title.
Yeah,
Mark Briscoe stole the fucking match, in my opinion.
yeah. He not only stole it, but you can also see in his demeanor with him as Ring of Honor World Champion how it's instilled him with the new fire and determination.
Yep.
So when you see him go 1-on-1 against, so when you see him square off against Brody or Buddy Matthews or Malachi, he's just. But even then, you still have that added storyline of the feud between him and the House of Black, to where Briscoe is just more like not reckless but relentless in wanting to take these
Oh
guys
yeah.
down.
One of the moves of the night, in my. Can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
All right. The move of this match was Briscoe using the chair and doing a flipping senton off the chair
That
over the
was
ring
good.
post and onto Brody King. So good.
I always
Um,
love it when a face takes a chair and then well, at least on the outside, and the ref's gonna be like, no, no, you don't hit them. But then it's like, oh no, I'm setting this up or something.
Cheetah does that perfectly.
I know she does it so well that even when there were teases of maybe her going heel, you think she's doing it. No, she's just gonna use it to do a running high knee.
Yep. This match was super fun. I love trios matches in AEW because I kind of like the chaos of them.
Yeah,
I like that the referee doesn't really, restrict the rules as much as possible. Like they just let them
like
fight,
in a
and it
normal
feels
like in a normal tag match, In a
yeah.
way, trios is kind of like a tornado tag match, but
Mhm.
it's a little more. I won't say chaotic, but it's just a little more unruly because
Yeah.
the ref can't keep an eye on all 6 players in the ring. It's going to be like I have to focus on the 2 here, and then hopefully
Mhm.
the others will stay in line. And one thing I do like of the differences in this, we do see the House of Black. They are completely, truly proven as a well-connected team. It, and I did like this, even though it was a little bit of a teaser, like will Copeland, Briscoe, and Kingston, be a unit. They certainly were, but
Yeah.
it fell onto the corner when you look at it. It was like they want certain people. Like Copeland wanted
Mhm.
Malachi, but Kingston just wanted to get in there and fight. So when he had that square off against Brody with those
Oh,
chops,
it's so good.
my God, that was fantastic. Like Brody at first, he's just absorbing him. Like, is that all you got? But then when Kingston starts ramping up more, you do see him like he's literally starting to chop down that tree that Brody King
Yep.
hit.
Dude, Mark Briscoe doing his redneck kung fu always gets me, bro. I love when he does that. I love the triple spear spot. That
Oh,
was
that
so
was good.
good. Copeland hits it, I believe, on
I
Brody.
think I thought he hit it on Buddy.
He may have hit it
Um,
on Buddy. And then Mark hit it on Brody, and then Malachi took it from Kingston on the aprons.
I believe so. Yeah, I knew Malachi took a spear on the apron. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. That was awesome.
and
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and then of course you get to the finish of that match.
Yep.
Malachi uses that black mist on Copeland to do and then hits the end for the 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
I predicted that House of Black was going to win and Copeland was going to take the pin. I was talking to this with a friend of mine because he was unsure if this match should happen because he did not want to see House of Black win. And honestly, he had a fair point because House of Black, despite how people feel they've been booked or they've been utilized, they've always been like on a roller coaster when it comes with momentum. And of
Yeah.
course, many people complain about Malachi not having a lot of singles matches. One, Malachi has been wrestling out singles matches outside AEW, but
Mm.
also he's been nursing his back a lot, and so he's trying to wrestle less singles matches. So
Yeah.
trios works well for him. It's trios and tag matches to where he doesn't have to do a lot of the work, and he can come in with do the explosive tags or the striking moments, and then have
Mm-hmm.
another wrestler take over. But I did like that. Well, he did have a singles match against Christopher Daniels on Rampage. But I do like now that his one main feud that's coming in is going to be him and Copeland. So when
Yep.
that stare down between them happened after Copeland defeated Matt Cardona, I'm like, this is it. Malachi is going to start gunning in a singles. He's going to start gunning in singles matches. And when this triple threat match was established, instead of the TNT, the TNT title wasn't defended on this pay per view, but this was a setup for the TNT
Yeah.
Championship.
And it was a good setup.
Yeah, so either for Collision or personally, I feel this should be defended at Double or Nothing.
I think it will. Yes.
Copeland and Malachi at Double or Nothing. That is
Mhm.
what I am predicting for the TNT Championship.
So, question: do you think that because we know what the Mist can do to people, do you think that this may bring out a
I know where you're
darker
going.
version of Copeland? Maybe more of a not a complete brood, but
No.
almost going back to that kind of darker place that he hasn't been in a while.
The most I can see with this is that it might make him go to that place he was during his feud with Christian.
So
But
someone had the greatest idea. He comes out in the Ring of Fire at Double or Nothing. He's got Gangrel by his side. Gangrel has worked with AEW before,
They
so
may. I wouldn't be surprised if they set up a Double or Nothing. He does something like that. But I think that's what they do with Julie. I mean, well, not actually. No, Malachi's. The thing with the Black Mist, though, there has been different effects. Like when he did it to Pac did the whole stick of him being blinded. Of
yeah.
course, with Julia, yeah, it slowly corrupted her. But then that carried on mainly with her blue mist, like showing a darker side of her
Well,
opponents.
to be fair, it also showed effect for Sky Blue when Julia did it to her.
Well, that's what I mean.
So,
When Julia took over the mist, it was more of it was more of like a corrupting strain. Malachi, though, when he does it on the male opponents, it's mainly led to like a blinded effect, like their feud against Death Triangle. Honestly, that's how it felt like with them.
yeah.
So I think this could have been a situation. Maybe if Copeland shows up, maybe looking a little red eyed, like he had just gotten like pepper sprayed, that might sting to the effect of it.
Okay. So, what would you give this match out of 5?
This one, honestly, is a 3.75, 3 and 3/4 stars.
Oh, I'm gonna go 4 stars. I really enjoyed this match.
I mean, it is a fun match, though. But yeah, but because of some of the chaos that 6-man matches, I'm not looking for an absolute banger, banger, banger. This match definitely kept me invested. It was just more of like there were certain paces where I think because Malachi was not in the match as much as possible, took some points away. But
That's
even
fair.
then, it was still a great highlight for Brody and Buddy, honestly.
All right, so let's move on to our next match for the TBS Championship. Champion Julia Hart taking on Willow Nightingale. I will say, I know why this match is the shortest on the card is because Julia is still semi-injured. Like she was cleared enough to drop the title to Willow.
Yeah.
That's why in the feud they didn't want to use her as much as possible to make sure she was able.
Yeah,
to
after that match she had against Layla Hirsch, something told me something was off. Where I'm like,
yeah,
oh, she got hurt a little bit. And the funny thing was, before that happened, while everyone was predicting Willow would win, I thought they might do a swerve and have Julia retain, keep her reign going, so Mercedes would be the one to dethrone her. No, just hear me out. Just hear me out. Have Mercedes dethrone her, but because she still has unfinished business with Willow could still be chasing after the TBS championship, but then Mercedes has it, and then but it leads more into what happened after this match when Willow won. Look, either way, I was looking forward to who was going to face Mercedes at Double or Nothing, and I'm happy that it is Willow. It does play more into their story. But I kind of would have liked to have seen Julia at least extend a little bit more of her reign, do some of the spookiness, because they did the whole Blights Out, who attacked Mercedes in her dressing room. So it would have been fun to really to address that more. But I know exactly who did it. To me, I already have a feeling who attacked Mercedes and Willow.
Who do you think it is? You think it's Chris?
Yeah, I think it's Chris.
That makes sense.
Because after when she won, though, before Chris hugged her, she had a little bit. It looked like she was aggressively walking to her before she opened up her arms. And even though Stokely has been he's been like turning a new leaf and being supportive.
Stokely on commentary is the best.
Oh my gosh, Stokely stole the show he was fantastic on commentary, and even before then, he was hilarious when he wanted to have Willow go up against Adam Copeland. And then when she won the belt, immediately on Twitter, I saw he did a tail of the tape, Willow versus Copeland.
Yes, make it happen.
Honestly, but I say that a lot. But this was a very great match. Yeah, it wasn't going to be long, and of course, with the size difference between them, the biggest story had to be Julia had to be more aggressive, or at least be opportunistic, and that did happen when Willow missed a senton, and then Julia started taking the attack on the outside. And I did like the stipulations for this match being a house rules, no rope breaks, meaning that she could use Heartless and Willow could not rope break. She had to do what she did. Yep. She had to power out of it.
And even Julia was like, no rope breaks. I can keep it as much as I want.
That's one thing about the house rules match. When they have belts, I actually appreciate. When
Yeah.
they have the right stipulation, a certain match that could just look a random pairing could turn into a very compelling match. Maybe
Hmm.
not banger to most people, but it can be very compelling to remind you that the House of Black, they like to play by their own rules. In a way, it's kind of a reminder to me of the WCW days of Ravens rules matches. But this one's
Yeah.
just a little better. This one's a little better though.
I will say I enjoy the house rules match because they do make it fair to their opponents. It's not like
Yes.
they stack it up against their, in their favor. They're like, hey, 20 count. There is no rope breaks, and the
Julia's
opponent
banned
here.
from ringside. Okay.
Oh, you mean
No.
Chris and
No. When the House of
God.
Black had the trios titles, and when
Oh,
Best
right.
Friends had to challenge them, Chuck said, "No spooky witch at ringside."
Yeah.
That's one thing. Yeah, how that's one. That's what I like about it. House of Black are so confident that they will win. They will
Hmm.
allow their opponent to set the stipulation, which is why when Julia went against Abaddon, Abaddon's was no. There's biting is allowed.
I love it. Overall, I thought this was an okay match. It sucks that they couldn't really do as much as
Yeah.
I feel like they could have done because of Julia's injury. But Willow did win with the Doctor Bomb.
I did
I
like
love
the one
Willow.
spot. There was one spot on this match that really felt like finally they were like getting right. It was when Julia does her backflip because
Yes.
she does it so beautifully. But the last couple of times I've seen her do it,
She's always
I
messed up. I don't know if people were too far or too
yeah.
close or too far.
Well, the thing is that when Julia goes on the turnbuckle, she sees where her opponent is, so she has to rely solely
Hmm.
on faith that their opponent is in that spot. So
Yep.
when she goes too far, it's like the commentators have to really recover, like, oh, opponent rolled in a little too close. Or if she goes too close, it's like her knees are going to land on someone.
Hmm.
I think when it comes with those moonsault spots, it really is a mixture of trust and on not just the person using it, but the opponent lying there to
Yep.
where it really is it is 50-50, and we are going to talk about taking bumps and spots later on when we get up to the card. But one thing I did appreciate here, Willow was a little close, but I saw her shimmy out a little bit. So when Julia did that tight moonsault, it kind of worked a little bit into
Yeah.
when Willow, catches her, flips her up into that Doctor Bomb, which was fantastic.
I love that the Doctor Bomb is her finisher. It's
It is great, honestly. It
especially
works.
how she starts off with the gut wrench
Yes,
and then she powers them up. It works for her character as well.
exactly. It matches well with her power, matches well with her size. And so
Hmm.
whenever you do have someone kick you out of the Doctor Bomb, and also it plays well with her transition of her emotional transition into using that move. Because at
Yeah.
first, when Willow would start like getting fired up and angry, she takes off the straps, then
The
she do the
traps.
pounce, and then the Doctor Bomb. But I liked how Willow was like at this point, oh, I'm not taking off my straps. I'm gonna slam you into the mat. And then
Hmm.
she gets the victory. And then she took off those straps out of relief, honestly.
Yeah. So at the end of this match, we do have Mercedes Moné come out, and the announcers brought this up, stealing the spotlight of Willow. So this seems like Mercedes is going heel for her match against Willow.
Not sure though. The signs are there, but I think I
Mhm.
remember someone saying that Mercedes can play more. She's probably playing a little more like vindictive, honestly, because her moment for her to because in the New Japan Strong for the inaugural New Japan Strong Women's Belt, honestly, that match was meant. The whole belt was meant for her, but when she got hurt, Willow was the one that took that thunder, and for her, and it was clear when she showed up in AEW, she has not forgotten it. And it does seem to me that her going against Willow is going to be like it's a thread that she's not able to let go. So personally, I honestly think Willow's going to beat her at Double or Nothing, and then
Wow, really?
yes, I do think so. Not because Willow's going to be a transitional champion or not, but it's because Mercedes is trying to be. It feels like pretty much the way how Roman lost his title, him refusing to not hit Cody with the chair and hitting Seth with the chair.
Hmm.
This is what it feels like to me. And then of course if you watch Raw when Sheamus confronted Drew and how Drew lost the damn world title because he couldn't let go of that little grudge, that little personal grudge he has against Punk. This is what it feels like with Mercedes. She's not thinking clearly. She's trying to get into Willow's head, but I think it's more like it's a disadvantage for her. So by the time she does wrestle at Double or Nothing, no matter how well she's going to be wrestling or outmaneuvering Willow, Mercedes is going to get a little too arrogant that will cost her the match. Now, she may win the TBS championship for her first match, but I'm kind of in the camp that it's going to be her first loss.
I can't see Mercedes losing this match. And it sucks because I don't want Willow to be a transitional champion, but this storyline, it's got a bit of history built into it. You good?
Sorry, I got NXT on the background, and it just showed Trick winning, and I'm like, shit, I missed the moment. But that's okay. That's okay. I will rewatch it. I'll replay it.
Mm-hmm. But this has history already because if you go back to the New Japan match and now, but I hate to say this because I don't want this to seem like I'm blaming Mercedes for having this popularity, but I feel like they're going to go the route of giving Mercedes the belt because her name value will add a bit more to the TBS championship.
Well, honestly, the fact that it's her debut match does add more to it. If it wasn't her debut match and she started wrestling after Dynasty, then it would be more, people are going to be like, she's going to lose. It could have been more of a 50-50 kind of situation between Willow and Mercedes.
Yeah.
But you're not wrong in thinking that way.
But again, taking nothing away from Willow, even if she is a transitional champion, she's had a hell of a 2023, hell of a 2024. She will be fine with this, especially because I think Mercedes with the TBS championship could be like Adam Copeland for the TNT title, where they're trying to make the title more important. Because when Copeland, technically when Christian had the TNT title, he made it back to where it once was.
Yeah.
Then Copeland got it, and now it seems like it's going back to the kind of the TV title where you have the Cope Open and things like that. He's trying to do what John Cena did with the U.S. title, give it more prestige. I think that's what they're trying to do with the TBS title. And
I mean, harking back with the TNT title, when it was on the shoulders of Cody did that open challenge. Then when Darby took it, he defended it. Then when Miro took it, it was still kind of like an open challenge, but more of Miro was built as that final boss for the TNT championship. Then of course it had that unfortunate lull with Sammy and Cody going back and forth with it. Then when Sammy got it again, then another back and forth with Scorpio Sky. Then Wardlow got it. We thought there was going to be something, but then that happened. So, but then
Joe.
Well, not actually Joe holding it, making himself the king of television.
No. I mean the back and forth between Wardlow and Joe. The title seemed to go back and forth a lot.
But Joe had it a little long. Well, then Darby won it off of Joe, and then Joe got it back. So it's how that championship is booked. I still thought that it was not badly booked. It was just kind of bad situations surrounding it.
Yeah.
And I think
but also
I'm sorry, go for it.
But back to Mercedes holding the TBS title. I also think that's somebody you can book main events around that people will watch. Because if you have someone like a Mercedes who is defending the title, on a Dynamite, on a Collision, on a pay-per-view, you can use that to elevate younger talent in the women's division as well. Because Mercedes is always about giving back as well. So she's going to go back and forth. Hell, I would love to see her and Saraya go one-on-one for the TBS title. You have the history of Mercedes injuring Saraya.
That honestly does work. And here's one thing I want to say before I give my rating for this match. One thing I think with the TBS title, this is kind of with Will holding it. I think we have a good circle of women surrounding. I mean, with Mercedes coming up, you have Chris Statlander, who was a former TBS champion. And honestly, I think there is hints of her turning heel on her. It may happen.
That's what I think is going to happen at Double or Nothing. I think Chris is going to turn on Willow, cost her the title, and then be like, "It was me who attacked you."
I don't know about costing her title. I think Chris may attack Willow afterwards, but it depends on how they're going to build that up to Double or Nothing. But I'm just saying, if Chris turns heel and then she decides to go after the TNT Championship, but then Willow still wants to get back at Chris Statlander, and then just recently, well, not recently, but on Monday they did this little after she lost, they did a whole little promo with her in the back, little reeling from it, and then Brody says it's time to rebuild.
Yep.
So that could hint to her wanting to challenge again. But then you have Sky Blue, who honestly has been getting better, who has truly been improving in AEW.
She's getting so much better.
Truly. So I do see her as a potential contender for the TBS title. And then if Mercedes does win, yeah, what you just brought up, Saraya wanting to challenge it, wanting to get some payback, seeing...
Yep.
I mean, they can have, hopefully on Dynamite or Rampage, or Collision, they do something where Mercedes walks in or has a collision, no pun intended, with Saraya backstage, where those two can have a stare up against each other. Maybe kind of tease that for All In, Saraya versus Mercedes.
There you go. Because that would be a fucking headline, like not a headliner, but that would be a big match.
That is big fight feel. It would also be another opportunity for Saraya to not maybe fight in a 4-way match, but actually a one-on-one against Saraya, one-on-one against Mercedes, where the two of them can play off of their history. Because guess what? AEW does not give a fuck about what WWE used to do in the past. No,
the great thing about
AEW acknowledges histories. They don't give a fuck if you don't work for a company before. That's what I was trying to say.
And they don't even have to mention WWE by name, because if they do, fucking fans will be, haters will be all on that.
At the point that haters will be coming in.
You can literally build this match with Saraya as, hey, you got revenge on Willow for injuring you. Now it's time for my revenge.
You cost me my career. You cost me my career. That's one thing she could do. So
you cost me my career. I'm costing you something you love, the TBS Championship.
So, yeah, I mean, there are a lot of positives to see around this. It is kind of hurtful that we have now until May 26th, a month from now. So at least I want to see Will at least squeeze in 1 or 2 title defenses in that time. But even then, I am appreciating that with Willow, she is going to be holding that belt. We are going to at least see her on TV. And to be honest, I kind of want to see both the TNT and TBS titles get renamed, but I doubt that, honestly. I really doubt that.
Not until if they somehow move off of TNT and TBS, I can't see them changing the name.
I was going to say call them TV titles, but at this point, ROH already has the TV titles nailed down. Like, it really is going to be something different. But even then, I don't mind those belts being around. They are good. I mean, already, if you look at the standings, the fact that the men's division has 4 separate singles belts that can be challenged, well, at least in the rankings, the top 2 are the top 2 at least can go after the world title. And even then, the TNT and the international title, it doesn't matter where in the rankings you stand. You can they're still open to be challenged. It's just those who are in the top 5 have a more stronger claim to challenge for those belts. But my ranking I will give for this match, even despite her injury, her slight injury, I will give a 3.5. 3.5.
I hate to do this. I'm not going super low. I'm going to give it a 3. I think it's right down the middle. It was a good match. I just wish circumstances beyond their control. If they would have had a healthy Julia Hart and a healthy Willow, I think it would have been bumped up to easily 3.5 or 4.
What do you mean healthy Willow? I think she was healthy. I mean,
both of them were equally healthy. Is what I was trying to say.
I think I understand what you mean, like 100%. In a way,
Yeah. Both of them were on even footing.
Okay.
But this also shows why having a mid-card women's title is such a great idea, because people who are not going for the world championship have the TBS championship to fall back on, and the TBS title is telling a lot of great stories as well.
I do agree, and One thing I do think that the TBS title can do, not just be like a workhorse title or a title for wrestlers who are not chasing the main
Mhm.
belt, but as you've mentioned before, it's great for storyline purposes. Like right now, I think one thing this could be very interesting in storyline is that currently, I mean, we're gonna talk about Toni Storm's match later on, but since she had retained her championship,
Mhm.
they they did tease that what happens if Mariah May challenges her. Mariah May can definitely challenge for the TBS title, and they can do a little bit of a skit backstage to where Tony plants the idea in
Yes.
Mariah's head to keep her away from the main belt.
Mm-hmm. And maybe she wins it down the line, and they're both like they're both holding the championships together, so it looks like she's actually mirroring Tony Storm.
In a
Oh,
way, I kind of think yeah, both of them hold gold. It'd be hilarious that we get a women's version of the Hollywood Blondes.
yes, that would be amazing. All right, let's move on to hell another fucking banger, man, for the international championship. Roderick Strong taking on Kyle O'Reilly. So
this
I was watching a review and they were like, "This match was bad," and I was like, "What are you talking about? This match fucking rules."
I think they were really playing off of their history they had in ROH. And if anyone's seen at least one or two of their matches in ROH, or even during the time in
Mhm.
NXT when Kyle O'Reilly, before Rod Strong joined the Undisputed Era, Roderick Strong and Kyle Wright are so familiar with each other in the ring that this match was all about the story with their friendship and how familiar they are with each other. So they make transitions feel very seamless. I mean, Kyle being a striker, Roderick Strong, even though he is a powerhouse when it comes to using backbreakers, I love how
Mhm.
Roderick Strong was trying to play up to Kyle's game to match him strike for strike, but he had no edge against him except for using that jumping high knee.
Yep. I love that they had Strong, who would know O'Reilly as well as he does, target his neck and spine because
Exactly.
he knew of the established injury uh, that Kyle had before he came back. O'Reilly doing a lot of great strikes. I love when he does the axe kick and forearm combo.
Ooh, like it
Dude,
almost feels like he does a delay when he goes for that forearm, like he's really
the
leaning
axe
his
and
body
smash, I
into
think
it.
it's
Yeah,
called.
yes, I think that was that. I think that's what the combination is called. I even like when O'Reilly gets knocked to the turnbuckles. He always goes for the lowest ones to do that. Do that ripcord lariat.
Yeah, this match was great. Great, you know, hard hitting, like almost New Japan style match, where they built up from a slow start,
Mm-hmm.
backbreakers, targeting the neck, and as it kind of ramped up, then they started hitting strikes and kicks and arm bars, and they just really went for it. The only thing I didn't like was the awkward ending, the run in by Wardlow. I don't know if that was a mistake, if the referee turned, a
I
little
don't
bit
know.
too
That
early.
that one did feel kind of off because in the storyline, at least with Wardlow, was is that he was being charged to at least make sure that Roderick and the Kingdom retain their belts. But
Mm,
I don't know if anything. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this interfered with it. But a friend of mine shared a news that Wardlow's vehicle nearly got ran off the road in St. Louis.
Jesus.
Yeah, she showed me like a photo. She shared a photo of the crash and what it looked like, and I'm thinking that might explain why he wasn't moving the way he normally does because he was simply just taking a brisk walk to the ring.
Yeah. If that's the case, then holy shit, I didn't know about that.
Like Wardlow really, I'm not sure if it's yeah, okay, yeah, no, Wardlow shared this. Um, yeah, he got ran off the road. The front vehicle. Hold on, let me just show the photo of it. This is what the vehicle looked like.
Good
And let me
God.
show on Wardlow's.
Good God.
Yeah, that was
That's
it.
insane that he was still there.
And the fact
Like
that he
actually
wasn't
up and
truly.
walking.
Yeah, he says he was banged up, so it looks like he may have gotten a little bit like maybe some bruising, but he wasn't
Mhm.
truly hurt from it. And
Good.
seeing at the ending of this match how it's revealed that Cole is no longer hurt from his ankle,
I,
and
I
those,
don't know if he's 100% healed.
but he's not. Yeah, but he is
He doesn't
walking
need the
though.
wheelchair.
He
Yeah.
doesn't need the wheelchair. He is perfectly walk. He doesn't have that boot on his ankle though. But,
Yep.
but then also those dead stares he gave to Warlow behind his back.
Oh, those evil glares.
It wouldn't surprise me if they decide to use that angle of his vehicle being ran off the road into the storyline of him turning, because the last time something bad happened to Warlow regarding the vehicle, they used that too in a storyline. Like when Warlow won the TNT Championship, his vehicle, someone broke into his vehicle and stole his gear and stole a lot of his stuff.
Right.
They used that in that angle with having QT Marshall and Aaron Solo steal his
Yeah.
shit just to be like a psychological mind play into his match against Powerhouse Hobbs.
That's not a bad idea.
Like it wouldn't, yeah. I mean, sure, people are gonna like, if they do that, I can already imagine people going, how dare they use that? Okay, first off, Wardlow's not too hurt, and they would ask him to
if
do
it's
that.
okay.
Yeah, because it seemed to me Wardlow was fine with it the first time,
Mm-hmm.
and it doesn't seem he's okay, and he seems to be okay with the second time. But beyond that, I did appreciate in this match that Kyle, that you can see on him, he was really fighting. I don't know if there was confliction in him, but I mean, to him, it was clear. Roderick just wants to hurt me. So, but even then, I felt someone watching that match. It looked to me like Kyle was holding back just a little bit.
Yeah. But yeah, it seemed like he was holding back a little bit because he does still have respect for his friend.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they kind of had more time to develop.
Same here. I really wanted this to at least. I thought this deserved a few extra weeks. This could have been something at Double or Nothing, honestly.
I wonder if they're going to do a rematch at Double or Nothing.
Maybe. It's difficult.
So I'm pretty sure I'm back.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
That was weird. I wasn't sure what one of us went out, but
I think it was both of us because I saw the pinwheel on my screen.
So did I.
And then I saw you went black, and I'm like, great. I need to, I don't know, turn on and off my VPN for a second. But, I think I'm back on here. To be honest, this match was very straightforward. I was trying to say this. I felt this deserved a few more extra weeks to build up. Mm-hmm. Like there were some matches on Dynasty that I felt needed maybe a few extra months to build for storyline purposes, especially if there was titles on the line. But regardless, it still was a great match. It was still a great match going in, and I do believe that there is going to be more after this. I mean, sure, they didn't attack Kyle after the match. It was just Roger trying to prove a point. And it wouldn't shock me if Adam goes to approach Kyle after this, you know. Mm-hmm. So this could maybe build into another opportunity, like you said, of a rematch between Kyle and Roderick down the road.
Yep. So overall, I give this match a 4 stars out of 5. I think it was hard hitting, the type of match I really love. So I'm giving it 4 stars out of 5.
I do give this a 4 star as well because this match, honestly, this felt more like if you were a fan of Ring of Honor in the past and you knew of Kyle and Roderick's history, that's where the mindset is. You pretty much, if you knew the lore, you would need a storyline for this. And even then, with some of the stuff I've seen with them in NXT and some matches I've seen of them on ROH, I was able to still be involved in this without a story.
Exactly. All right, let's move on to the controversial match of the night. For the FTW Championship, Champion Hook defends against the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho. Yeah, this match wasn't that good. I hate to say it.
Well, to me, honestly, this match, after the first time where Hook pretty much basically squashed Jericho, I knew this was going to be more of a
Mm,
competitive match. And it was kind of telling here that Jericho and Hook are really not in chemistry. They don't have the
no.
chemistry. Mainly because with Hook, I've seen with some of his matches, he really is fighting at a very fast and quick pace. Like he'll be
Hmm.
quick and explosive, and then it's still him trying to learn. Well, I'm not gonna say he's green because he really is very adept in the ring. It's just
Yeah.
understanding the pacing of it. And Jericho being the veteran, though, there are times where I'm seeing, okay, he's trying to play the veteran character, like
Hmm.
trying to have Hook to slow down. And the fact that this was an FTW rules, aka a hardcore match, did
Yep.
help a little bit on the pacing and the timing of this match. That it wasn't just a straightforward wrestling match, which to me, I thought was a bit of a downside on Chris's character. He should have played this more like he's trying to do a simple wrestling match, but Hook is the one playing it as if it's FTW rules. And then
Yeah.
maybe halfway during the match, Chris Jericho starts getting frustrated. Then he throws that shit out the window. Then he starts throwing everything. He throws
Hmm.
everything against the wall.
Can I be honest for a minute?
Go ahead.
Every time Jericho's in the program now, I find myself caring less and less. Which sucks because Jericho used to be my favorite wrestler of all
I think
time.
it's overexposure with Jericho,
That could
unfortunately.
be it.
No, I think it honestly is, and it's one of the reasons why I wanted to think how many pay per views has Jericho been on AEW since he signed with them. I
Hmm.
think if Jericho took time away from TV, like a couple months away, and then comes back, not through like a storyline injury or anything like that. Like if he stays away from television, doesn't do commentary on
Hmm.
Rampage, pretty much the absence makes the heart grow fonder. Then people would be like, "We want to
I
see you again, Jericho."
I don't know if people are at that level now. I mean, he had a chance of please retire.
We saw that with Roman Reigns because of his long reign with the belt. People were sick and tired of seeing him on television not
But
defending him. But when he
that
steps
also
away and then he comes back after a month or so, people were right back to acknowledging him.
Reigns was, I think, out for almost a year when because he got injured and his leukemia came back, so he was out pretty
No, I'm
much
thinking
from
when he was
Mania to
the tribal chief, not before
oh
tribal chief. I understand what you mean there, but no,
yeah.
I'm talking about Roman when he was the tribal chief, when he
Mm,
was in that long reign, like just last year between 2023 and 2024. People were sick and tired of the fact that he wasn't defending it a lot, and when he did defend it, it was the same: bloodline interfuse, lull, rinse, repeat. But when
yeah.
Roman was gone for at least a while, and then he came back, I believe, in time for the Royal Rumble, people started cheering for him, or they started to acknowledge him again.
Yeah. Um I don't know. I just I think people hate on Jericho too much, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say overexposure is a very bad thing.
Honestly, I think it's more than just overexposure. I also think, remember at World's End when those allegations of him and
Hmm.
Riley Ray came out, I think that also hurt him very well to where he should have, after World's End, taken some time away.
Yeah.
Like even after when the guy had recanted those allegations, even though it was a clear fuck up, Jericho should maybe stay a month away and then come back before Revolution to see that change things.
Yeah. I actually think if he would have stayed off of the World's End card while those allegations were going on, and then he, as you said, took a month back or a month or two out, and then came back in, as you said, in time for Revolution, I don't think people
Maybe
would
after
have.
Revolution though. You know what? I really do need to see how many AEW pay per views he has wrestled in because I
He's
think that
been
would
in, I
he's
think,
been in.
almost all of them besides a few.
Well, let's keep talking a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's keep going. I'll look up his matches like the
Yeah.
recent.
So this match, I don't think it's as garbage as a lot of people say it is. I think a lot of
It's
people
really
just
not
hate.
terrible. It's just like I think no one was invested in this. That's
Yeah.
why.
Um, I think some of the spots Jericho took was actually pretty cool. Like the T-bone suplex from the apron through the table was
That was a
fucking
good spot.
awesome. And I fucking hate that people were like, "Oh, well, Hook looks like a joke now because Jericho took his title." I'm like, one, Hook kicked out of 2 Judas Effects, which nobody has done ever in AEW. It took
And Jericho
3.
had to use a bat to beat him.
Yep. It took 3 Judas Effects in total, a baseball bat, and a low blow just to keep Hook down. He is
Exactly.
fine.
And also, Hook, AEW has stated time and time again, the championship is not recognized in AEW.
Mm-hmm.
It is an unlisted championship. So Hook,
So, funny
well, not
enough,
yeah, it's unlisted because
yep.
it's not in the ranking. It's not in the standings or the
Mm-hmm.
ranking.
Renee on 0 Hour said something very interesting that I kind of agree with. The FTW Championship is AEW's version of the BMF title in UFC.
Yeah, I did hear she did mention that. Yeah.
And that's kind of true because the BMF title, they don't have rankings, they don't have weight classes. It's just whoever wants to fight can fight. This is kind of the idea, is like it's a championship not recognized by the company, but you still have title fights for it.
Exactly. And it to me, Jericho winning, which I kind of as I predicted, I think it will work well with his character because he's trying. Because look, despite how, also one thing with Hook though, his promos, as much as I like the fact that he's trying to be like a very silent guy,
Mm,
I honestly think he needs to do some promo classes because even when he's trying to talk naturally, it feels a little stunted. But that's just a me thing. That's a me
yeah.
thing. But
Um.
even then with Jericho, I think Jericho holding the championship can work for him because then Jericho, he can play on that trope of the veteran trying to teach the young guy a couple of things. But I like the thing with Hook's character is Hook is not an idiot. He knows Jericho's history and the fact
Yeah.
that AEW we've seen so far, Jericho has people in his corner, then he turns on them, forms a new group, and then he turns on people or people turn on him. So it really is kind of like Jericho is trying to push this whole I'm trying to turn a new leaf here, but Hook's still like untrustworthy. So I'm interested to see where this goes. I personally think Hook is not going to get that title back because
I think he is.
not like he's going to be Jericho for. Well, the reason why I think that is they at the start of the year Tony Khan wanted to put the strap on Hook, so having him challenge be Joe's first opponent, and then the way Joe was able to work him and put him over in such a big way, there is plans there, 100%. I still think Hook still needs to understand, like when it comes to ring psychology, or at least pacing himself in matches.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why he's paired with Jericho to do better, at least on selling and telling a story in the ring. Yes, Jericho has a lot of overexposure, but I'm choosing to see the bright side of this to see that
Mm-hmm.
Jericho could at least teach Hook on telling stories in his matches.
Yeah. Getting back to the FTW title thing, I kind of would be interested if they not really have it be an option, as in like, still keep it as like the outlaw title,
Yes.
but keep it where in every FTW championship match it's under FTW rules. Make it almost like a hardcore title where like anyone can challenge for it. If someone's not doing anything, they can go for the FTW title. It's a
Yes.
hardcore match, so they can. It adds something different to all your championships when one of the titles is always going to be a hardcore match.
Mm-hmm. I think that might be something that is interesting. Sorry,
So
I'm going over
rating,
all these AW pay per views,
that was
but
fine.
beyond that, this match it is definitely a lower ranked. I would give this a 2.5
Mm-hmm.
stars.
I was thinking 2.5. I'll give it 2.5.
Okay.
All right. Let's move on to our next match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Timeless Toni Storm defends against Thunder Rosa. I love the fact that, because the whole story is that one, Thunder did not lose the title, and
Yep.
two, Toni wants to embarrass Thunder by smearing her makeup and taking that part of her identity away from her. So what does Thunder Rosa do in this match? She comes out with no fucking face paint.
I
She's just
love
got
the mask that
the
came out in,
eyeshadow.
honestly.
Dude, the mask. I did not catch this, but someone taught me. Smart me up on this. That was a replica of her Cobra Moon mask from Lucha Underground.
Oh, I'm not up to date on Lucha Underground. Honestly, I've maybe watched only 10 matches out of all of Lucha
Mm-hmm.
Underground. But if that is true, man, that is amazing.
Paying homage to like her past characters.
And I did like when she does that reveal. Like you saw Toni Storm come into the ring, like very like presenting herself the way she is, like being very overconfident, especially after that promo she gave after Dynamite, which was great. But then when she did take that, Toni Storm really did look shocked because even Toni herself, she's in the very white makeup from what
Yes.
happened to Baby Jane. Which seriously, at this point, if fans don't get what Toni Storm is doing, you clearly are.
Oh,
I'm
so
not going to call
good.
you uncultured, but you're clearly not getting it. You're just
Dude,
not getting
I
it.
love the fact that one, she is being announced as from Studio 7 at the Warner's lot.
Yes.
And two, they have the host of the Turner Classic Movies section doing the interviews with her sometimes.
Yes.
So good. So fucking good, man. This match was great. This is probably Toni Storm's best title defense since becoming timeless.
Yes. I think at this point, because Toni Storm was being very experimental with her character, especially in the ring. But I think after World's End, after when she tried to be more of a classic wrestler like Mae Young and Fabulous Moolah,
Mm-hmm.
or was it Georgina? I forget the. You know, I'm losing it. But I think when she was trying to relate herself. No, I was trying to think of the women's wrestler in the 50s who Toni Storm was trying to, whom I think she modeled her attire off of in the World's End match. But I think after that match, though, it was clear it didn't work. And Toni Storm did change up, at least, especially in her rivalry with Deonna Purrazzo. Though
Yeah.
that one definitely was more of an amalgamation of she's being more of her character, but she's still wrestling in a technical style.
Yeah. This match was great. It was a really back and forth match. I love when Deonna Purrazzo comes out and she just mows down fucking Luther the same way that Thunder did. Luther is doing a fucking hell of a job as a manager / chauffeur / just like second.
Pretty much everything that Toni Storm needs.
Yep. So Deonna comes out, takes out Luther, takes out Mariah May.
Well, actually, no, actually, Thunder's Rosa when she did that twisting plancha off the turnbuckle, and then Deonna Rosa, she's the equalizer of Mariah, and then of course having the fact that Thunder and Deonna have that unfortunate fucking like tense relationship. Where I'm like, oh no, don't pay attention to Deonna taking care of Mariah. Focus more on Toni Storm, and that ended up being her downfall.
The end of the match, Toni takes her to, I don't even know what to say. It's not Dick Kick City, as Brian Zane would say.
The yam bag.
The female yam bag kick.
Picture in the yam bag.
The female yam bag kick is. I love when she does that. That's hilarious. Hits her with Storm Zero to retain the title. A very, very great match.
I think that's one thing with her character. I think personally, I do think that there is an expiration date on her title reign.
Yeah,
I really hope Toni is not holding out on Jamie Hayter returning to put the belt on her, because I would love for Jamie Hayter to return and then win the championship. But Toni Storm, I think her character at this point has evolved past the title to where she doesn't need it anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't think they're waiting on Jamie Hayter. I think they're waiting for Mariah May to get more wins, and then you have her turn on Toni to go for the title. I think that's what they're
I,
setting up
I
for.
personally think you can do that. I personally think you can still have Tony and Mariah fight each other without a championship. Honestly, I think I know you're going to
That's
bring
fair.
your opposing points, but to me, I think
Mhm.
sometimes I think personal rivalries can still have that big fight feel without a title involved.
Oh
It's
yeah.
just that it to me, it's all about timing at this point.
Mhm.
And personally, what I want to see is I want to see Tony Storm drop the belt at Double or Nothing, or have her lose it at Forbidden Door. But that would require if she faces someone from New Japan, which may or may not happen since Mina
They
Shirakawa is facing off against Anna Jay this upcoming Wednesday, and her past with oh oh boy. I don't think she's going to lose it anytime soon between now and June.
I
Now,
don't know that that's a great idea because the idea of someone from I'm sorry, her name was what? Mia.
Mina Shirakawa.
Yes, the fact that she has such a close history with Mariah May from Stardom, from their time in Stardom, could get a great feud going into Forbidden Door where she takes the title off of Tony Storm because John Moxley has the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship now.
Yes.
How cool would it be if if Tony goes, okay, you let one of our guys hold your titles, we'll let one of your guys hold our titles, and they give
Okay.
it to her to run it for maybe a month or two, and then that's why you can kind of maybe that's Tony Storm's way of kind of breaking them two up is like having Mariah go after the title, but now she has to choose between going after her title for her idol or her best friend that she's known for years. That
Mhm.
could be a great storyline as well for them two to go at it at probably something like a All In or something.
Honestly, I could see that. That is interesting. Okay, I just want to do a bit of an update here. I've been
Mhm.
scrolling through looking at AEW pay per views. So far, after going through from 2019 to 2021, the only two sort of pay per views that Jericho didn't get involved in was Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen. But that was just during the first. But that was 2019 during AEW's first year
So
when
he's
they
been
were.
at every big AEW pay per view.
Yes, either in the main event as champ, well, at least when he was champion, and then when he lost the belt to Moxley, he was mainly involved in. There was the Stadium Stampede match. He did a tag match, and then right at the end of 2021, Full Gear, he was involved. Oh, I just looked at it. Yeah, he did it was Inner Circle versus Men of the Year and American Top
Yeah,
Team in the street fight. So that's where I'm at. But we can keep going. I'm getting into
yeah,
some.
that's definitely overexposure.
Well, it was at that point where Jericho wasn't too exposed because he had a faction with him.
Yeah,
But once I think the thing with the inner circle started to die down a bit, and then he had the Jericho Appreciation Society, and he started constantly giving himself different gimmicks, like I'm a wizard or the
mhm.
Ocho. I think that's where you can almost argue. Oh wait, I'm just looking at Revolution of 2022, and he is not on it. Oh,
Oh
never
wow.
mind. Never mind. It was Eddie Kingston beat Jericho by submission,
Yeah.
which led
All
to
right.
Double or Nothing, the Stadium Stampede match.
All right. My rating for this match is a 4. I think it's a really, really great match.
You know what? Yeah, this is good. It was to me personally. I mean, I man, it's really hard because some of these matches here on Dynasty, I would have loved to have seen on Double or Nothing, especially this
Mm-hmm.
one. But even then, you still had a solid story in there with Thunder Rosa when she had to drop the title. Her opponent at
Not
that
gonna lie. Sorry for interrupting you. Not gonna lie.
time.
I kind of
It's
wanted them.
anarchy in the arena. It's anarchy in the arena, not
It,
Stadium Stampede.
it
Sorry.
might have been better if they kind of went the same way that they did Swerve, Joe, and Hangman, but for the women's division, do Tony Storm, Thunder Rosa, and Deonna Purrazzo in this one. Tony pins I don't know, maybe Deonna, or she rolls her up or something, and
Uh
then
huh.
you do Thunder Rosa and Tony at Double or Nothing. That
I
might
could
have been better.
that could have been that is something. Honestly, I do like that.
Because I mean, yes, it's the exact same story as the AEW World Championship, but that story worked. Like it was a good 3 month build with Joe and Swerve from their match at Revolution to now. Or I guess 2 month build because they were still building the three-way match, and then after the three-way match, going into the main event here. But the idea that like Deanna was a part of this kind of feud, like she had problems with Thunder Rosa, she has problems with Toni Storm. You could have easily intertwined them to do a three-way match here, and then do the one-on-one match with her and Thunder Rosa at Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that. Oh, damn it. Nope. Now I'm just looking at 2022. He has. Sorry, I got distracted because I'm just looking at 2022. He was on every pay per view for 2022.
All right, are you ready to get into probably my match of the year?
Let's get into it. Oh, I didn't get my rating. Four
Oh,
stars as well for Tony and Thunder Rosa.
all
So
right,
let's
let's
get
move on
into
to
it.
Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson. Holy shit, this match went, I believe they said 36 minutes. It did not feel like a 30-minute match.
It did not. Let me. Oh, okay, hold on. I'm looking at the. Let's see the time match. Okay.
It's like
Austin,
32 to 36.
32 minutes and 40 seconds.
Mm-hmm. Um,
Oh my god, the FCW match went longer than the women's title match.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, Willow and Julia was as short as 6 minutes flat.
But again, that was because of an injury.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like not taken
That
away
match
from
did
them.
not need to be 17 minutes.
Yeah, the second longest was Kazuchika and Pac, 21 minutes and 55 seconds, nearly beating out the Young Bucks and FTR by 20 seconds.
Jesus. All right, so this match, bro, the bells started and you had holy shit chants.
Yeah, exactly. Earlier shit from Pac and Kazuchika. To be honest, these two matches were the fans were looking forward to, and of course the main event as well. Damn it, you can tell this crowd was fire from the word go.
Dude, this match was fucking epic. I watched it twice already. Because I wanted to go back and like refresh my opinions on it because recency bias can be a thing, especially when you just watch the match. But no, this match is still good on a second watch. It might be even better on a second watch because you notice a lot more stuff that you didn't while you're in the moment. One of the best moments in this whole match is Bryan setting up the Psycho knee and Ospreay unsheathing his fucking hidden blade. And they're like, all right, let's go.
That
Who is
was
going
a
to hit
great
on me
final
first?
standoff. But even then, in between these matches, I loved how Don Callis, he's always on and off on commentary, but this time he worked because Ospreay, once he was fully committed to AEW, his character was completely different from when when he was still part-time committing between AEW and New Japan. Because that Ospreay, he was someone who was willing to have that killer edge that Don Callis was talking about. But once he officially was more signed up here, Ospreay was definitely that guy who was all about was just wrestling the match and then shaking his hand at the end. He was all about being an honor, pretty much like with Ring of Honor. He was all about honor from bell to bell. So when those moments came where Danielson is pushing Ospreay to be more ruthless, you are seeing those moments. When he did that hidden blade from the apron over Danielson on the outside, Jesus!
Dude,
I mean,
the crowd chants at that moment were hilarious. We're not worthy.
Oh, this is amazing. Like, these were the kind of the thing. This is the stuff that when you have. This is one of the things that I always like to combat fans who complain about AEW going for smaller arenas. You have a passionate fan base that's there and invested from start to finish. It doesn't matter if AEW has is not selling out every seat, or they choose to only sell the middle. They don't choose to sell at the top level. or they don't, or they are just focusing more on the middle level from
Mhm.
the Titantron all the way and circling around. You get fans who are that passionate, it doesn't fucking care if you're in an open arena. They are going to fucking tear the roof down. They're going to tear the
I
house down if you give them the match they want.
Yeah, I kind of agree with some people where they say that AEW should, for Dynamite and stuff, book smaller arenas,
Mm-hmm.
because if you get a packed house of a smaller arena, but they're loud and vocal, they can sound just like a fucking 12,000 seat arena.
Unless you got that one asshole who's just there to just take a video of how small
Yeah,
it is. Beyond that, it is still an amazing. It's still fucking awesome. It's still amazing.
dude. The one spot that made me go crazy, like, and this was at the sort of the beginning of the match. Ospreay goes for that springboard kick he does. The
The
handstand.
Oz cutter, you mean?
No,
No, no.
the
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Okay, I forgot what it's called, but I know exactly what you're talking about. Go ahead.
yeah. So he hits the ropes, does a handstand, and goes for that that kick he does, and he
Yeah, that
goes
the
over.
back spin kick. Yeah.
Yes, he goes over Brian's shoulders in a fucking like backwards backflip, and then they start trading strikes, and it ends with Ospreay almost hitting Brian with a super kick, and they're both just staring at each other, and the fucking crowd erupts.
Oh.
Holy shit, this match was everything.
And they also took a lot of their time to really build to really just stretch those moments out. Like they weren't
Mm-hmm.
always just like attack. Like it wasn't like when most people complain when they show a match, like when they're getting towards the end, they just start amping up the speed. No, it was like these guys got bit. They landed a major blow against each other. Takes them a
Mm-hmm.
while to recover. They try to do a submission move. They're not back up on their feet later on. No, it was slowly bit by bit, like really trying to work in how
Yep.
hard they were hitting each other.
Dude, Ospreay hitting that sky twister to the outside and then rolling through and landing on his feet.
Oh my god, that was amazing! Like, uh, I'm
And
glad
and
that they
even
did. I'm
even the
glad they did the wide
commentary,
shot a little bit on that
yep,
when he landed on his feet before they
yep.
zoomed in on him.
Even Excalibur on commentary mentioned that the way Ospreay hit that and rolled on his shoulders, it was to make sure that if Brian moved, he would just roll through it and land on his feet anyway.
Yeah,
Dude, Brian countering an Oz cutter with a Busaiku knee to the jaw, fucking epic.
perfect timing too. Honestly, that is amazing. It's like when Adam Cole did his super
I was
kick
thinking about
onto
that.
a backflipping Ricochet doing that backflip.
Yes, exactly. Perfect timing. And then, of course, we have the ending of the match. Again, they're kind of betting each other on like, all right, which one of us is going to hit our strikes more first, the
Yeah.
hidden blade or the Masako knee?
It was
Split second.
it was a Wild West showdown. Or no,
Yep,
not Wild West. It was in the samurai films where you have those two warriors staying apart from each
unsheathing.
other,
Yep,
unsheathing their weapons, getting their stances ready, and then going in for the kill.
yep. Ospreay hits the hidden blade, and then he hits a fucking tiger driver on Brian,
I
which
believe
you
Tiger
can
Driver
clearly
91. Yeah.
yes, which you can clearly see that Brian lands on his shoulders. So
Yes.
I just want to put that out right now.
Not just
He
his
is
shoulders,
fine.
but he lands in that sweet spot, like from his shoulders and right here on his neck, to where it's
Yep.
not even touched, where he's not, his neck is not even taking any of that brunt force. Like it's on the
Yep.
upper bit of his shoulders, maybe like even his shoulder blades, you would say, is
Mm-hmm.
taking that damage. But when he sells it that it's his collarbone or a part of his neck, honestly, once you watch that replay again, it is more clear that it is a work.
Yep. And then, so the referee comes in, he calls in the doctor, and then Ospreay, so laser focused on getting the win over Brian, tells the ref to move out of the way. He hits the hidden blade to the back of the head. 1, 2, 3. Will Ospreay is the winner of this match. This is getting 5 stars out of 5 for me. This is probably my match of the year.
5 out of 5. And before we continue, I finally have my update. Jericho has only not been in one pay-per-view, and that was Double or Nothing of last year.
Oh wow.
So he was in every pay-per-view in All Elite Wrestling
Wasn't
except
he?
for 2023 Double or Nothing.
Didn't he fight Adam Cole? Or was that 2022?
Let me
He
get
was Cole's first opponent when he came back.
let me just double check. Cole. Cole and Samoa Joe is 2022.
Then it must be
Oh,
2023.
it was. No, wait. Adam Cole, defeated Chris Jericho, unsanctioned match. Okay, it was unsanctioned. Which one was I thinking of? Maybe it was. Oh, All Out. I mean, yeah, but he just did All In that same year.
Yeah.
Okay, he did Forbidden Door 2023 because it was the Sex Gods versus against Sting, Darby, and Naito.
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, one more spot from this match I want to mention. The picture perfect Tiger suplex from the top rope that Brian hit. Oh, it's so beautiful.
Oh, it was Revolution, not Double or Nothing. It was Revolution. Nope, never mind. Ricky Starks. Jesus Christ.
You are really on this, aren't you?
Yes, I want. Look, it is a legitimate argument. It is a legitimate argument to make regarding Chris Jericho's overexposure, and I want to have the facts right. It's distracting me from us talking about this match, but I want to make sure that 100% people does bring this stuff up about Jericho. Then yes, you are making points. It's not like I'm going to pull something out of my ass here.
Yeah, but overall, man, I think this match is a fucking masterpiece.
It is without a doubt the match of the night, a banger from back and forth. Okay, I found it. Revolution 2022.
Revolution 2022.
Revolution 2022 and All Out 2023 are the only two pay-per-views Jericho did not participate in. I'm fucking done now. But other than that, well, Fyter Fest and Fight for the Fallen 2019
don't count.
Yeah, they don't count. But at the time, they are listed here on the pay-per-views because that, like I said, it was just their first year.
Yeah,
before it was reduced down to 4. But beyond that, Jericho's been involved in everything outside of Revolution 2022 and All Out 2023. Okay, I'm done.
So
I did love the aftermath of this match, though. When Ospreay he was celebrating, but then he was still looking at the doctors and wanting to help
make sure that Brian was okay.
Yeah, I did love that, and I did love how it spilled into the media scrum where Ospreay said he is no longer using that move.
Which I think he will use it, but I'm glad that they're not going to use it in every match because when he does decide that he's going to hit it, it now means something because he has to use it to win a match.
Yeah, because if you have face Ospreay will do it either in a bit of desperation or pull an ace up his sleeve, or if it's heel Ospreay, he can use that to be like he wants to destroy his opponent.
And the thing is, which this kind of spoils my event, but if you're watching this, you've already watched the show. If not, go back and watch it.
Yeah, stop. Don't proxy watch off of us, please.
No.
I don't like those kind of people who like to proxy watch. I like watching reaction videos, but only when I know I've seen what they're reacting to.
But my theory is that Ospreay is going to main event with Swerve Strickland for the world title and All In London.
Yeah.
And I think that's where he finally brings out the Tiger Driver 91, only because we have learned that nothing will keep Swerve Strickland down.
No.
To the point that you have to literally kill him or break his neck for him to stay down. And what move can be powerful enough to end him? A Tiger Driver in the middle of the ring in a hidden blade. That will put Ospreay over as a world champion.
Stormbreaker in a while, honestly, which is interesting. He has not used Stormbreaker since he's been fully signed with AEW.
To be fair, I prefer the Hidden Blade, if I'm being honest.
The Hidden Blade is fantastic. I love it. And the way he does it, too. I mean, Ospreay, he said in interviews there's times where he's actually legitimately hurt people with that. But even then...
I think he knocked out Kota Ibushi the first time he used it.
Yeah. And but even then, the way he does it though is very good. Like the way he does that running start, and then the quickness he goes with that elbow, like really is great. It's one of those moves where you realize that it doesn't need to be something complex. like a vertebraker. It doesn't need to be but it doesn't need to be a power move like a power bomb or the last ride, and it doesn't need to be something that can be manipulated, that can be used in different ways,
Mm-hmm.
like the diamond cutter or the RKO or a Death
Yep.
Valley driver or an F5. Something that simple to can legitimately hurt somebody. That's why I didn't mind Jericho using Judas effect as his finisher.
No, I didn't either. But
Because
one thing
there are
I love
legitimate
about the
fights you can get into where someone can get hurt with just a random
oh
body
yeah,
part. It
oh yeah,
plays into the
definitely.
legitimacy of it.
The one thing I love about the hidden blade is that there are different variations of it, and you know which one is the death blow. He can hit one to the face when he has his elbow pad on. That
Yeah.
one is like a transitional move, but it's fine because it's setting up other big moves. But when that elbow pad goes down and he hits the back of the head, that's it. You're knocked out.
I don't know, but that match against Kyle Fletcher, though, he did hit him without that armband, and it was still, and even then, that plays off just like a Last Stand
Mm-hmm.
movie film where the opponent knows they're beat and they're just like, just do it.
Do it.
Which
Yep,
is,
exactly.
when I saw that moment, I immediately was thinking Obi-Wan and Maul in Star Wars. Those two just staring each other down before they hit the blow on
Mm-hmm.
Tatooine. Oh man, that
So I love the fact that he's like, I'm gonna stop using this move because it now makes that move. He still has it in his back pocket when he needs to bring it out. But I hope they bring it out in big moments, so title matches or when it's a blood feud. Like I want it to mean something.
yeah, that's what I think is gonna work. And I do agree with you. I think something like that would work if Osprey
Mm-hmm.
brings it up. If Osprey wields it out against an opponent who just won't stay down.
Like a Swerve Strickland, and that's my theory is that at All In, Will Ospreay is going to beat Swerve Strickland, but
Well,
he's going to have to kill Swerve to take that title.
yeah, we have tomorrow, but we do have tomorrow though, so we have no idea what the plan is for who Swerve is going to face at Double or Nothing. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, signs do point to Osprey getting their opportunity. He's going to have another great match at All In, but personally, to me, I've said this to you. I want Swerve to at least hold it to Full Gear or Wrestle Dream, where it's in Washington, his hometown.
Is it still going to be in Washington?
It's at Tacoma, Washington. It may not.
Oh,
Yeah, Wrestle Dream is going to be in Tacoma, Washington.
that's literally his hometown.
Yeah, so I think it would be great for him to walk in as champion, but it wouldn't be. I would not hate it if it's Will and if Will wins it at All In.
It's kind of funny because in the post match scrum, Will was asked about a potential match against Swerve Strickland. I didn't know they went back to when they were teenagers. Like
Oh
they worked
yeah,
with each other when they were teenagers.
there is so much early footage of them wrestling each other like very young in their days before. Like that one clip of them dancing to but oh my god, don't believe me, just watch.
Bruno Mars,
Yeah, Bruno Mars. Uptown Funk. Yeah, them
Uptown
doing
Funk.
that dance to Uptown Funk in a wrestling ring together. That's them in their early, like really young days. Like you can see
Yeah.
how different they are back then to how they are now.
Apparently, like they know each other since they were young because he talked about his mom or Osprey's mom building a ring to keep him off the streets, and he was like working and kind of training with Swerve at a young age.
So there's definitely a story to build there to where you can have two
Mhm.
faces fight up against each other.
Exactly. All right, let's move on. Yes, five stars from me. 5 out of 5.
Mine 5 stars, yes.
All right, let's move on to another banger: AEW Tag Team Championship ladder match, FTR versus the Young Bucks. I absolutely love that they only have this match once a year. They had 4 matches, 2020, 2021, 2022, and now.
No, 2023 at All In. 2021, 2022. Or I think they did. They fought each other 2 times in 2023.
This is their 5th match.
The Young Bucks beat them during 2021 before everything had no, you're right, 2020. Sorry. They won the belts at Full Gear in 2020
Hmm.
because they still had the titles but before Swerve and Arguri beat them in 2021.
Yep. And
Yeah.
then they had what, 2 matches in 2023?
They FTR did beat them on a Dynamite, and
Hmm.
then they fought them at All In Wembley.
Yep. And then you
Yes,
had
2023, because that was during the time when FTR had the AAA championships and the New Japan belts.
yep. So this is
Or was
their
that
fourth
the
match.
2011? Yeah.
But I love how it's like they don't do it often. Like they only come to this when it means something. And this match, it means something. Not only are the tag titles on the line, but it's to crown the first ever 3-time AEW tag team champions.
Yep.
I will say, perfect way to, I think that segment on Dynamite where they brought up the footage, perfect encapsulation for this match, and they turned it into a storyline. And it makes sense now because Jack Perry is back.
Oh man.
So,
So it's my god, if you can hear out there how not many people are taught and not many people are dragging that moment down, like I'm not gonna say those fans who were look, we both have our feelings of them releasing
mhm.
that footage, and it was all about how is that gonna pay off.
Yep.
Clearly it paid off well
Mm-hmm.
because of Jack Perry's the fact that even before that footage, Jack Perry was using that instance that would happen to him as his whole character gimmick in New Japan,
Yep.
renaming himself the Scapegoat.
I love that.
And then even then, you doing interviews to where he's tearing up his AEW contract. Dirt sheets saying that Tony Khan is not happy with Jack Perry after what happened there. The fact, and then of course you keep building around that. Then after the footage was released, Jack Perry in Chicago going against Shoto. The fact that the crowd was half and half with him.
Were they?
Yeah, there were crowds that were saying CM Punk. Others were saying Jack Perry or CM Punk sucks.
I was not expecting that. I expected him to get booed out of the fucking
He was
building.
not booed out the building. He really wasn't. There are people booing him, but
Wow.
it's really. I didn't watch the entire match because unfortunately it's New Japan, so I only got to find snippets around. But even then, that crowd was not a united front against him, despite what those naysayers had said. Despite what those cops, cop is my anachronism for the cult of punk.
I was so confused. I was like, why are you bringing the police officers into this?
But the funny thing is, in his entrance, though, he does come out surrounded by wrestlers in riot gear. And then he has
So
the
good.
3X's on his on his jacket coming out.
That's so good.
So that is, and sorry, I started saying that was just a self term I said because of the cult of punk. I just started saying, "Oh, we got a cop here, we got a cop there," and people are like, "What the hell are you talking about? Oh, you're proud to be a cop?" So and plays in the double entendre of me being black. So
oh my god.
Yeah, sorry. So when I say I hate cops, you're gonna wonder, do you mean that in wrestling? Do you mean that we're in punk, or do you actually mean you hate cops? No, okay. No, okay, I'm sorry. I'm being
off topic.
I'm laying too much. I'm putting too much thick. I'm laying this down too thick here. Okay. But I'll be honest to say, right now, that pop Jack Perry got, that is showing that the crowd is on behind him. But right now, we're going to see how the long term it is for Jack Perry now that he's going to be back on television. I'm pretty sure they are going to bring him back and make him part of the elite. But if the moment we get at a pay per view or a moment where Jack Perry, I mean, even his merch has been selling out. Jack Perry, his scapegoat shirts have been selling out.
That's insane to me because, like, again, I don't really follow a lot of stuff on Twitter, but I thought people were going to hate on Jack Perry personally. But the fact that he's kind of using this and kind of finding success is fucking awesome.
It's really funny though that people love the fact that people keep arguing. There are fans out there saying, "Oh, wrestling companies should be using more real world shit to build in their storylines." Well, guess what? When companies do it, it's always nitpicky. It's like, "Oh, we wanted this, but not that way."
Yeah.
Oh, did you want it? Okay. because you can't choose. You can't fucking choose how you're gonna get it.
Yep. But dude, this match fucking ruled. What a way, because I thought that the fans were gonna be fucking exhausted after Ospreay and Danielson. What a way to keep their momentum. Like, hey, we have a tag team ladder match coming up. Like, I love the fact that you did get CM Punk chance,
There
kind of
was something, yeah.
immediately during the
But they
stare
didn't
down,
last
but it
long.
wasn't. They didn't last long. Yeah. Um. So yeah,
Yeah,
a
before
lot of
anyone
spots to get into.
watches, but anyone, we are not. You know what? No, fuck you. If you're gonna take all this the wrong way, the thing is, guys, it happened. Young Bucks, FTR, and Jack Perry. They used this. Well, not
Mhm.
Jack Perry, but Young Bucks and FTR used that to add more heat to their build. And
Yep.
going in, you can do see how this fight was more. This match was more of a personal fight. Yes, to crown the first three-time
3 times.
champions, but also at the same time, the FTR has a 2-1 win over 2-1
Mhm.
in the feud between the two. Now they're dead even.
Yep.
Now the rubber match, the one that is maybe the next time these guys fight, it's going to be the one match to maybe end it all. You know, kind of like
I
in
would
a
do. I would do 2 out of 3 falls. A tag team 2 out of 3 falls, or as somebody mentioned, a harken back to their FTR's rivalry with the Briscoe brothers. Do a double dog collar match.
maybe shit. I mean, that's it would be it would be kind of well actually it would be interesting how they would incorporate that though. Would FTR bring it up, or would the Bucks, in order to spit on FTR's legacy, use that as a way of you guys have this incredible match with the Briscoes, we can do it better.
Exactly. So it works on either level. Um, but this match fucking rules, man. A lot of stuff to get into match wise. Dude, the Bucks. I'm kind of going around because I can't really do it play by play, but the Bucks, tripping Cash Wheeler on the ladder, crotch first, and then hitting him with the
Ooh.
EVP trigger looked sick.
I was worried for Cash at first. I'm like, please don't get yourself hurt on that. I mean, even though those ladders aren't meant to be that strong, I was just like, oh man, be careful because what happens if
Yep.
that ladder broke and then it cuts like it slices his leg?
Or his arm again, like but nice callback to their first encounter in 2020. Dax taking off Matt's shoes, so he can't
Oh,
do the super
they
kick.
keep that trend of Matt not wrestling in with a shoe. God, that was funny.
Nicholas hits a 450 splash through a table that wipes out Wheeler, and then oh, hold on. Yeah, Nicholas delivers a 450 splash through a table that wipes Wheeler out, and then a pile driver from Dax Harwood to Matthew. I believe it was on the ladder, right?
Yes, that's why I'm. I did say that I did wrote down FTR takes a pile driver on the ladder, so I
Yeah.
didn't put down which one.
Um, and then, dude, Cash Wheeler has a fucking fantastic tope suicida.
Oh God, man! When Cash did that, not the Tope Suicida. I'm thinking to myself, man, from those guys who were heels saying that they only do fists and not kick
Mm-hmm.
flips, man, to see them take those risks was insane.
And actually, if you think about it, in their matches with the Young Bucks, the 2 times that they've lost the matches, this one and the one in 2020, their first encounter, it was because of Wheeler going out of their comfort zone. In the first one, he went for that springboard 450, which then got countered into a super kick. And in this one, he takes himself out trying to go for a tope, missing Nicholas and crashing through the table, which pretty much takes
Oh
him out of
God,
the
that
match.
moment there, I really thought that table leaned a little too hard against the gate to where I thought Cash may have accidentally smashed his face against it. Even though the
Yeah.
table was kind of there for soft landing, I was
Mhm.
just worried where I'm going. Crap! Don't do that again.
But I love the storytelling of from their first encounter to this one. Whenever FTR goes out of their comfort zone and tries to add in stuff that's not in their repertoire, like a flip or like a dive or whatever, it seems to bite them in the ass. But when they play to their strength, which is tag
Mm-hmm.
team wrestling, technical wrestling, hard strikes, New Japan style, they seem to get the victories.
Yeah. It does play a lot. It does play very well to them. So it is kind of like when they do promos again, they're gonna go with, you know what, we decided to play the Young Bucks
Mm-hmm.
game and we lost. But and of course, Jack Perry was an added bonus, was an
Jack Perry
addition.
in the Sting mask is
Oh
hilarious.
my god! The funny thing was, afterwards, after the pay per view, there was a fan that went on Twitter and showed a photo, shared a video of them seeing Jack Perry walk in amongst the crowd before he did his interruption. Like
Mhm.
he came out from, I think, from a stand somewhere in the Sting mask with the hooded jacket on, holding a bucket of popcorn. And two fans were talking to someone. I think it's him. I think it's him. And then the moment he's crossing back where the hurricane was, and then turns around, Dak is climbing that spot. Then he like throws the popcorn, and they're yelling, "It's him! It's him! It's him! It's him!"
I love the fact that people are so like they took a storyline that should have been awful, like someone got in a fight, and they turned it around, and now they made Jack Perry into a perfect slimy heel.
I even love when security takes that. Like security's really acting like this is a fan, and they sold
Mhm.
so well when it was Jack Perry. They're like,
Dude,
wait, what are we
the
supposed to do?
after the mask comes off and his shit eating grin is just
Ah,
it's so funny.
like it's really good. Like he knew, like y'all are gonna react to me. I don't give a fuck.
And they did. Dude, he got a hell of a pop. Dude, another great chant by the crowd. Please be careful. During this
Oh,
match was
oh my god,
great.
yeah, when they were taking it back. No, when he was climbing. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, please be careful.
Because hell, the way those ladders were going, I'm like, yeah, that's why I was worried. Some of them could break, and especially
Mm-hmm.
seeing how when Dax was climbing that, I'm like, that was not a steady ladder. Or when the young
No.
bucks were climbing.
Mm-hmm. Um. All right. Question: do
Yes,
you think that Jack Perry is now a member of the Elite?
he did give that sign to them, and
He
the and
did.
the and the elite gave that sign back. So I would not
My
be
theory.
surprised if the elite, at
Mm-hmm.
least on Dynamite, if they addressed it, they kind of shake it off a bit. And it's like we're gonna make some decisions, like that
Yep.
as EVPs, and then maybe next week they announce. They maybe next week they announce Jack Perry is re-signed to AEW.
The perfect thing they can do, and I don't care if it pisses anybody off. They need to do this. Have the Young Bucks be like, please welcome back the scapegoat, Jack Perry, who did absolutely nothing wrong and was punished all this time for nothing.
Wow, shit.
Lean into it.
I think they could do something about. I think they are going to do something like a version of that, honestly. So it's
Mm-hmm.
going to be very interesting to see where it's going to go. I mean, it's been telegraphed for the longest time when Jack Perry was making that turnaround that he was going to be someone joining the elite, and he's definitely going to be joining the elite. I
Oh
feel it.
yeah. All right. So for this match, I'm giving it a 4.5. I think is probably my second favorite match of the night.
Mm. I will give this 4.25 stars because out of their series of matches, this is not the weakest, but it's just more of like somewhere in the middle
Mm-hmm.
for me. But out of the night, yeah, it is without a doubt a fantastic. It is definitely a great top tier match, big fight match.
All right, let's move on to our final match of the night for the AEW World Championship. Champion Samoa Joe defends against Swerve Strickland. A little information that I did not know when
Uh-huh.
Swerve came out and Nana bestowed him the robe. I did not know what that robe meant, but I just learned this. It says Prince Nana's bestowed upon Strickland a robe previously worn by the late Jimmy Rave, one of the
Yeah.
manager's clients in the original Ring of Honor.
Yeah, that's that. I remember that I heard Excalibur bring that up during commentary a bit.
I
It
did
was
hear that.
he lightly approached it. He lightly touched on it, but then other fans were bringing it up, like they were showing photos of Jimmy Rave in that robe with Prince Nana, like
That's
after
so
the
fucking
pay-per-view.
cool.
So it really was fantastic to truly see how on how that moment was big. And
Hmm.
look, I know you were. I know. Look, we were both 100% behind Swerve becoming champion,
Yep.
but we were just on two different paths. Honestly, I
Hmm.
felt his crowning moment could have been at All In Wembley Stadium
Hmm.
in front of over 80,000 people. But you were right that when the momentum was behind him, they needed to pull that trigger.
Yep.
And you know what? I did not hate him winning this. I mean, of course, I didn't fucking hate him winning this. I'm 100% okay. I'm 100% down that he did win it in St. Louis, beating Samoa Joe, because I was saying Samoa Joe deserves at least a good run with that belt. It doesn't need to be
Hmm.
6 months, but at least have at least enough title defenses on his shoulders to where he can go up against. So then when he does drop it, it will be. And when you didn't bring up earlier how Swerve is someone who will not stay down, that
Hmm.
was Swerve's whole moment, his whole attitude in this match. He refused to
Yep.
stay down, no matter how hard Samoa Joe was going on him. No
He
matter,
he no sold Joe's walkaway, which was great.
yeah, the fact that Joe was just like, wait, what the fuck?
What the so good. Hit Swerve's attire as Killmonger, amazing.
I was mainly going with Black Panther. I didn't notice the gold around his neck, but with that
Yeah,
robe on him does give more of a Killmonger as to it.
I was thinking more Killmonger because of the gold trimming, but yeah, Black Panther it could also be as well.
Either way, like, Killmonger did become Black Panther in the movie, so
Yeah, he did. He did
either way, it is
indeed.
Black Panther.
Um, this match was great. The only thing I would say is it seems like the crowd was definitely behind Swerve. It seems like the crowd was getting very tired by the end of this night because they
Well,
just
yeah,
saw
obviously. I
Osprey and
mean,
Dennison and the ladder match back to back.
Osprey, the ladder man. But even then, this crowd was mostly reserved throughout most of the night. They
Mhm.
chose their moments,
Yep.
and that's when it came back to us talking earlier. There were some matches on here that didn't need to be on the pay per
Mhm.
view, or some that could have been on 0 Hour. Well, even then, 0 Hour was 3 matches.
Yep.
But and there maybe I don't know. It's really hard to decide. To be honest, I think maybe the trios match with House of Black that could have been on a Collision to still tease out with Copeland versus
That
Malachi.
could have been on the Collision before the pay per view.
Yeah, or the Collision afterwards. I mean, either way, that could have been something to tease out there. Maybe trim down the FTW match for fuck's sake.
Trim that
Have that
from
match.
6 minutes.
Yeah, 6 minutes. So we would have had more time with the women's matches.
Mhm.
But other than that, most of the other matches felt really like timed out well. Like I have
Oh
no
yeah.
complaint on the timing on these matches.
So let's get into this match real quick. It was a good match. I love that Joe was made to look like this unstoppable, force of nature. That every time Swerve would try to get some momentum back, Joe would find a way to stop it. But in return, Joe could not keep Swerve down, which was the entire story. Is that no matter how hard you hit Swerve, no matter how many times you beat him down, he will always come back and fight harder and harder.
Something he
And that's what he did.
reiterated during the contract signing. So even when Joe had bloodied him and he got back up, Joe had
That
that
was a
look on his
fucking
face.
awesome
Yeah,
moment.
that moment with the contract signing, and then even later on the Dynamite go home when Swerve did a Swerve stomp to 8 security guards on the
So
Joe.
good.
It's literally like telling Swerve he will not be denied his
Hmm.
moment. And then when
And
Swerve
that's why
finally,
I thought tonight was the best moment for them to pull the trigger on him.
yeah, and then of course Tony does talk about in the interview, in the media scrum that I think it was the match against Hangman that made him
Yeah,
that convinced him to pull the trigger on Swerve.
yeah. And I do love that AEW crowned 2 Black World Champions in
Yes.
Willow Nightingale and Swerve Strickland tonight.
Yes, and you add on with Athena, who's now reached 500 days
Yep.
as Ring of Honor Women's Champion. This is 100% a great opportunity to show not only representation but of
Hmm.
diversity in your roster to really truly inspire people. As Swerve was even talking about in the media scrum, he wants to inspire people. I mean,
Yep.
he talked about how Kofi winning at Mania inspired him to want to
Yep.
fight to become a world champ, to finally be crowned a world champion. Did unfortunately could not get that opportunity in WWE. No matter what your feelings are, he was being pushed very well under
Oh,
Triple
he
H
was.
and Gold.
Yes.
The fact that when Triple H look, if you really don't believe Swerve was not booked, was not being seen for good things, look at what happened with Hit Row when they tried to bring them back without Swerve.
It didn't work.
Did not fucking work because Swerve
No.
was the headpiece. He was the mantle of. He was
Hmm.
pretty much the reason why Hit Row was a thing. It was meant to be around Swerve.
Yep.
And then you see Swerve here in AEW. I mean, despite what people were saying of his slow starts, one thing I did love what Swerve did when he won the belt. Oh my god! On his Twitter, he posted all the receipts of people saying that he was
Uh,
a waste, another Jay Lethal. He wasn't going to be utilized a lot.
I'm sorry. Another Jay Lethal. Jay
Yeah,
Lethal is one of the most. Jay
one,
Lethal is one of the most prolific pro wrestlers on the indie circuit. What
well,
the fuck were you talking about?
that just shows that fan who posted that knows nothing about Jay Lethal and what he accomplished in Ring of Honor and TNA.
Nope.
The fact that he was one of the longest running champions in Ring of Honor. Sure, he's not being used a lot in AEW, but it does not take
Jay
away.
Lethal was the first guy to hold both the Ring of Honor TV and the Ring of Honor World Championship.
Yes. It just goes to show you that there are some wrestling fans out there that only watch wrestling on television and not anything else.
Yep.
And here's the thing: I don't want to disrespect anybody who are passionate fans who only watch it on internet and television. I mean, that's one thing. Wrestling is that having it on internet and TV does bring more exposure to wrestling. But if you're just someone who solely watches it on TV and that's it, you're not that kind of person who should be sitting on a high horse and then downplaying guys like Swerve, Jay Lethal, FTR, Athena, the Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, because what you didn't see them during the days of the Monday Night Wars or in the heydays of WWE in the 2000s and 2010s. Hell, it's something that really frustrates me. I mean, you're willing to forgive wrestlers who come. I mean, the fact that you like to label wrestlers as ex WWE really says a lot about your insights as a fan. Let me wrap this up before I go into it. If you want to say
rank coming up too, so
if you want to call yourself a wrestling fan, then you need to examine the limits of your fandom. If it's just a television, keep it that way. But don't get on a high horse and start spouting that shit off the fans who go to independent wrestling matches in their hometowns to watch wrestling. Or don't say that to wrestling fans who actually go out, who wants to be roadies or work behind the scenes in wrestling matches to help establish this stuff, who move on to actually work in arenas like AEW and WWE do, or wrestling fans who actually want to become wrestlers. And we are seeing that out there. One of my favorite examples of a wrestling fan who is turning. Well, there's plenty of them out there, but my favorite example is Izzy Moreno, the young girl who's as Bailey's #1 fan. She is a wrestler, and she's doing great work in the wrestling scene. Or if you want to talk about young people, Billy Starks, who is 19 years old.
I fucking love Billy Starks, man.
She was doing wrestling while attending school. And yes. And so you can't, if you are a fan, you cannot sit there on your high horse and judge these wrestlers on what they are doing because you're too scared or you're too lazy or have no excuse to go out there and try it yourselves. I have friends who are wrestling fans who are actually getting involved in. I've seen two of them actually do some wrestling. One of them is actually a part of Women of Wrestling.
That's true.
Well, part of women of wrestling. Another friend of mine, he's actually I believe he's doing some. He's starting to get himself. He's starting to slowly get involved in wrestling in Phoenix.
Mhm.
And then another friend of mine, he just posted that he was part of an entour. That he was part of he was a background player at a wrestling show.
Oh, awesome.
Like he came out through the curtain accompanying a wrestler.
Mhm.
I'm seeing so many of these people I've made friends with either through either just shared love of wrestling and then either meeting in person, seeing them doing this stuff. I'm throwing my support behind them. I'm never going to lord my knowledge, my high horse, because here's the truth: if I just did not make the choice to want to pursue wrestling. That's my choice. I'm going to be someone who's just going to watch and support it.
Exactly. Um, I'm not going to get too political into this, but I do want to bring this up to you. I know a lot of people are like, why did AEW keep mentioning that Swerve was the first black AEW world champion? It's like, it shouldn't matter. I'm like, it does matter. It's history. Because
Exactly.
a person
And
of
they're also
color is holding. Go
I'm
ahead,
also
sorry.
going to door Samoa Joe, their first AAPI world champion. You don't hear
Yep.
many people are spouting that across the room.
Mm-hmm.
But go ahead.
But it does matter because this is a company that a lot of people have, for the longest time, claimed that Tony Khan was racist, which I heard that, or that he,
He gets his
isn't
foot in his
utilizing
mouth.
black.
He
Yeah.
gets his foot in his mouth. That's his big. Okay, I'm looking at a Swerve photo. It was yeah, you're right. It was a Killmonger inspired Black Panther.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the fact that they came from that, and really, Swerve Strickland has been one of their main guys ever since he debuted. They gave
Mm-hmm.
him a huge contract signing at a pay-per-view. He then won the tag championships with
With you.
another with Keith Lee. That they had the titles for a long time, for a while actually, a few months I believe.
Yeah, they did. They won it off the
Mm-hmm.
Bucks. I believe some in June, and then they lost them to
At All Out to
no, they lost it at Grand Slam
Grand
against
Slam. That's right.
Kane.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they were the first all black African American team to win the
Yep.
AEW championships.
Yep. Uh,
Okay.
to then his series with Hangman, that culminated in the co-main event of a pay-per-view, the first pay-per-view in his home state,
Wrestle Dream, yeah, exactly.
to now giving him the reins as AEW World Champion. So yes, he is the first black AEW World Champion, and that's the one thing that Swerve has always stood on, is that he wanted to be the guy, the flag bearer for AEW as the first black AEW World Champion.
He said that in promos before Revolution. That was
Yeah,
the and when he said that in a promo, I'm like, this man can't be a heel when he becomes champion.
and yeah, exactly.
I mean, I knew, and especially because especially when you saw him set up when he was a heel, he was like the whole mogul embassy, like
Mm-hmm.
mogul affiliates, which thankfully that died away because I don't know what the fuck that was.
Yeah.
Then the mogul embassy, Prince Nana really making his entrance iconic with the back and forth. Oh, is
Yeah,
he
I'm
still
good.
there?
Can you see me?
Well, your screen is frozen. But while you take care of that, I'll continue a little bit. Swerve's trajectory throughout his time signed with AEW, he has been seen as a big main event player. So if some of you are still on this whole thing of why is Swerve talking about being the first AEW black champion, I'm sorry, but as a black wrestling fan who grew up watching wrestling, the fact that I had to settle for not sell. The Rock was great, but the thing
Mm-hmm.
was, he was only half black. They only leaned on it for a while, and then after a while, WWE started leaning more on his Samoan heritage with the Inouye
Yep.
family. So the fact that Rock was half black, that was just something for me to settle on. Even though WWE at the time, they had a lot of black wrestlers in their company,
Mm-hmm.
Nation of Domination, which should have been a fucking example of trying to push some black wrestlers in the main event scene. Then, of course, in the 2000s, you had Kofi Kingston, who was definitely one of their top guys.
2010s. not
Well, no,
2000s.
no. During the late
Oh,
2000s, they did try, but then of course
yeah.
the Randy Orton thing.
Sorry, I thought you were talking about
Don't
Filthy
worry,
Mania.
I was gonna get to that later on, but I wanted to mention. But then, of course, they had a young Bobby Lashley who they were really pushing to the
Mm-hmm.
top of the moon. Even though he was green, that could have been someone they could have put the belt on. They did later on but earlier on, and then Shelton Benjamin. The number of missed opportunities this man could have been world champion. I can count with my right hand. So
Mm-hmm.
nobody has an excuse to say this. The fact it took WWE 50 50 years to crown a full-blooded black man as a champion speaks
Mm-hmm.
volumes. WCW, the fact that people want to keep bringing WCW to compare to AEW, WCW did it before WWE with Ron Simmons as champion. And then the
Mm-hmm.
TNA NWA, they did that with Ron Killings.
Yep.
The fact that these two companies, people want to keep dredging up on trying to compare AEW to, the fact that these two companies were able to crown full-blooded black men as their champions before WWE is not ringing any red flags in your head. That tells me that you really don't pay attention. Well, it's not that you don't pay attention. You are willfully ignoring the
Mm-hmm.
lack of representation that is in this business. And as a fan, you want to go out and complain why certain people are not being pushed. Why not this guy? Why not that guy? Well, guess what? When the time came, your lip stayed shut because you just didn't care. Or
Yep.
you didn't care enough. You chose not to care. You chose to ignore. You chose to just be a keyboard warrior making these fake profiles just so you can spam a bunch of wrestlers and bother people and try to combat them. People who are actually trying to have these nuanced discussions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you're going to be out there on the internet complain how Swerve is going to shove this down your throat. Until it becomes apparent, we need more better representation on
Mm-hmm.
AEW, in WWE, TNA, MLW, which MLW, Jesus Christ, if you've not seen them, they have shown so much diversity in their wrestling company. Same with Lucha Underground. The fact that it was a Mexican-based
Mm-hmm.
wrestling platform, but you had such a wide variety of men and women wrestling in intergender matches, trios matches, one-on-one tag matches. You don't sit there as a wrestling fan and try to lord that over. Your lack of knowledge and your lack of trying to get more exposure to wrestling limits you from what wrestling's supposed to be. Wrestling is meant to be in a way like fantasy, but
Mm-hmm.
it's supposed to be. It's open for any. It should be open to everyone and open for anyone.
Exactly. And not to mention, it took WWE 50 years to crown a first
I
fully
did say
black
that,
WWE champion. Yep. It
but
took AEW
I love
5.
yeah 5.
It took AEW 5.
Yeah, in their early
So,
company. So keep going on with the AEW is dying thing. I don't care if AEW ends by 2030. The fact that Swerve was their first champion in 5 years, I'll take those statistics over WWE, which had been in business for over 60 years.
mm-hmm. But the end of this match, which we got kind of off on a tangent, but it was kind of a good tangent because we had to. But
Go for it.
the ending of the match, I don't know if it was supposed to be like that, or did Swerve just kind of overshoot? I think the original ending was for him to do a Swerve stomp with Joe on the top rope to the ground, but I think he kind of overshot
I'm not
the
sure
Swerve
overshot.
stomp.
I think Joe. I think this. I think Joe didn't. Maybe something happened, or
Mm-hmm.
it was meant to be, but then Joe kind of fell, so he was just getting himself in
Yeah,
position. So when that happened on that finish, at least Swerve was at least able to close the distance a little
into a
bit.
power bomb.
Yeah, but even then,
Yeah.
that distance when he does that second Swerve stomp, at
Mm-hmm.
least and I applaud the camera change. They changed it there to where you can see at least like a half, like at least 3/4 of his foot was on Joe when he did it.
Yeah. But Swerve hits a power bomb. There we go. On Joe, hits the Swerve stomp. 1, 2, 3. The crowd fucking erupts. And Swerve Strickland is your new AEW
Yes.
World Champion.
Whose house?
Fucking awesome.
Swerve's
House, baby. So happy for Swerve, man. not gonna lie, I watched this dude in Lucha Underground as Killshot, and to see him go this fucking far is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So, before we, oh, by the way, I'm giving this a 4.5 out of 5.
I will say 4.5 as well.
All right. So before we end the show, I do want to go on a mini rant.
Yeah. And I will mute myself so Hunter can have the time.
So I have been seeing people talk online about, oh, AEW only cares about 5-star matches. They don't care about storylines. Let me go through all of these matches, and each of them have 1 to 3 month storylines. You've got Adam Copeland, the Adam Copeland trios match. Mark Briscoe has been in a rivalry with House of Black for at least 4 months. Copeland is being challenged by Malachi Black, and Eddie Kingston is there to support Mark Briscoe, who he went to war with in Ring of Honor for the title. Willow and Julia. The whole storyline involved not only Julia, not only Willow, Chris Statlander, Sky Blue, Mercedes Moné. You've got 5 people right around the TBS title. That's only going to branch out into more storylines. Roger Strong, Kyle O'Reilly, a little rushed in AEW, but they have tons of history in Ring of Honor. Will Ospreay and Bryan Danielson. It's not a complex story. It's, hey, you're the best in the world. I'm the best in the world. Let's fight to see who actually is the best in the world. FTR and the Young Bucks for the tag titles. Their 4th match, and every single one is different. The first time, FTR tries to do a flip, and it cost him. This time, FTR tries to do a suicide dive, ends up taking him. Cash ends up taking himself out, costing him the titles again. A storyline through of when FTR tries to go out of their comfort zone, it cost them in the end. What I'm saying, AEW has storylines, but they're not WWE storylines. They're not one. Oh yeah, Julia taking the belt from Chris at Full Gear. That's a 5-month story. Thank you for that one, Ryan. What I'm saying, AEW does tell storylines, but they tell stories in the ring. They don't tell stories with promos and 20-minute promos and 20-minute closing promos and intricate year-long storylines. They tell stories in the ring, and that's where stories should be told. I'm so sick of people saying that AEW doesn't have storylines. Almost every match on this card had a storyline that was at least 2+ months or more. And I'm so sick of people saying, oh, they have no storylines. They do. They tell the stories in the ring where it's supposed to be told. Rant over.
No, I was going to let you go another minute or so. I wanted to add in more with the Julia thing because even then, that build with Julia to Chris Statlander, Julia at that time had spit the mist in Willow's eyes and Sky Blue's, which changed both of their demeanors, and they had that relationship with Chris. So even then, that build within like to Wrestle Dream, and then after Wrestle Dream, that's another extra added 2 months of storyline that Will had been involved with Julia Hart and Chris Statlander and Sky Blue. And then, of course, they had that women's Willow and Chris had that match against the oh my god, not the
street fight,
the street fight against Julia and Sky and Willow, and that really shows you that the culmination of that went all the way to Dynasty, to where at this point it does seem that Julia's little tie in the story is over, and maybe they might wrap it up with Sky Blue in the build up to Double or Nothing. So even then, while the culmination of that story is done, there's still loose ends on that they're going to tie up, maybe.
Yep.
So
with Tony Storm and Thunder Rosa, the story of Tony is thinking that Thunder Rosa is hiding behind her mask, her face paint, and wanting to disrespect her. So she smears that paint off of her. And what does Thunder do? Instead of taking the makeup off of Tony, she adds a bunch of makeup on to Tony Storm to make her look like a clown.
And then
And then in the
and then you
and then
also
the,
add in with
mhm.
Deonna Purrazzo that Deonna
Yep,
wants another shot at Tony, even though like Tony used dirty tactics to win, and she used dirty tactics again against Thunder. Oh my God! I think they might do a triple threat with Tony, Deonna, and Thunder at Double or Nothing.
that could be it. That could be it.
That could be a culmination of that story too.
That would
And
make so
then
much more sense.
And then it might carry over. And then with that wrapped up, then it's the whole Mariah May and
Hmm.
Tony Storm storyline, and then you add in Mina Shirakawa. That could lead into Forbidden Door.
See what we're saying? AEW has storylines.
It's all intricate. It's like if you really think about it, if you really break it down one by one, not
Hmm.
try to do it all together. Not every story needs to be told to you in a promo. It
No.
helps. I admit they do help. Video packages and promos do help if you're not
Yeah.
always watching the product.
Hmm.
But if you are dialed into the product, and even if you miss 1 week, you can still catch up on it, like
Yeah.
the following week. It's not like you haven't been watching AW for 5 months, but then you're back in and you're like, wait, what's all
Hmm.
this happening here? That would be more validity to the argument. If you haven't been
Yeah.
watching wrestling for 5 to 8 months, then it makes sense if you're not understanding storylines where you're going to need
Hmm.
promos and video packages. But it's not
I
like
can
if
say,
you
as somebody who I've never missed a Dynamite. I have missed collisions and rampages in the past,
same here.
but I haven't missed a Dynamite. I haven't missed a pay-per-view. So I know these storylines, which is good because they reward fans for being there from the beginning. So you get to
Mhm.
see Tony Storm transform from an outcast to timeless Tony Storm and what that does with her psyche. You get
Mhm.
to see stuff like Hook's debut and how good he's doing. Samoa Joe and Swerve Strickland, another fantastic 3+ month storyline of Joe tapping out Hangman and Swerve saying, "Hey, you never beat me." And the one time that Joe and Swerve go 1-on-1, Joe cannot keep Swerve down, and Swerve takes the title from him.
Mhm. So
So stop
the
with all this.
storylines are there. You just need to, yeah. In summation, this whole thing, storylines are there.
Mm-hmm.
Pay attention. And if you don't want to pay
Exactly.
attention and you will willfully ignore, well, guess what? Stay in that fucking bubble of yours while the rest of this community, while the rest of the, I'm not going to say smart marks or the community, while the rest of the passionate fans
Mm-hmm.
are going to move with AEW into the future. While you're just going to sit there on your keyboard, just go, oh my god, look at how there's no look how AEW's not filling up a stadium. Look at how empty it is. Look at they're only
Even
selling
though
40.
they have sold out a stadium before.
They have. They're just paying attention now. I was like, oh, AEW is dying. They're not making much more money, even though Forbes puts them on one of the top 3 most profitable sports-based entertainment companies,
Mm-hmm.
sports-based companies in the U.S. So stop with your narratives when the world is telling you that AEW is profitable, and you want to sit there in your little fucking, and you want to sit there or stand there and just say no. You need to personally just shut up. But then at the same time, if you're the same person who likes and comments on your own
Mm-hmm.
Twitter posts, you had no ground to stand on to begin with.
But the whole reason I had this rant was because I saw so many of AEW only cares about 5-star matches that I looked through this entire card, this pay-per-view, and I was like, I could tell you every single match on this card has some sort of story. And it was there, plain and simple for you.
Yeah. And even
But
if they're not 5-star matches, AEW is focused on giving you competitive
mm-hmm.
wrestling matches. Because I'll be honest, when I was simply just a wrestling fan watched either on TV or through like
Mm-hmm.
internet. But when I got to see wrestling shows live, trust me,
Mm-hmm.
you needed either you needed a combination of a good story in that's told in the ring, and also also wrestlers who know what they're doing to keep you invested.
Yep.
Well, I mean, it's one of
But
the reasons why
mm-hmm.
when people joked on AEW for the constant gimmicks. I'm sorry, but they are mainly based off of guys who wrestled in the indies. To where, guess what? If you go to an indie show to where it can only hold 300 or 200 people, or if
Yep.
they wrestled in high school gyms, guess what? A gimmick match is going to need to get their attention.
I would know. I have been to local wrestling shows at high school gyms, and they were so much fun because I didn't know any of the stories going in. Because
Exactly.
I was getting to know people. I was getting to know the local town. I was getting to know what kind of storylines are these guys going for. Who's the heels? Who the faces? That's the fun part about watching wrestling live. Even a match like Okada and Pac that didn't have such a great build, they told their story in the ring, which is, hey, Pac knows that Okada loves hitting the Rainmaker. If he hits it, it's over. I'm going to target that arm he hits it with. Okada, knowing that his Rainmaker takes out the neck and the shoulders, what does he do? Attacks Pac's head and neck because he's
Mhm.
setting up for the Rainmaker. You can tell stories in the ring. You don't have to tell stories in 20-minute promos.
Exactly. But that's just the thing. When you spend your whole life as a wrestling fan used to just watching wrestling on television where the story is
Mm-hmm.
basically just told to you, you unfortunately you get used to it. I mean, I won't say
Yep.
it makes you entitled, but it develop but you get the sense of entitlement to where this product needs to tell me what's going on. I shouldn't have to figure it out. Well, guess what, guys? You go watch a movie, there's a mixture of you should understand what's happening, but then else at the same time, it shouldn't distract you from enjoying the
And I'm
film or the
sorry if
television show.
you watch a movie, the as a film reviewer, I'm not really a critic, but the one thing that all critics hate is when you explain something in the movie.
Yeah.
Guess what people love what you do in movies? When you show them something that they feel smart enough to connect the dots.
Yeah, work don't yeah, movies that have to do these exposition dumps, people don't like it because guess what? It feels like they're being belittled. Their
Mm-hmm.
intelligence, not like they're a child, not like what I mean. Best example people say it's like you're treating me like a child that I can't follow. But here's the thing: children can pick up when you are not trying to talk them down, but
Yeah.
talk to them on their level. That's the whole point what AEW is trying to do. AEW is trying to trust. AEW is trusting its audience that they know who certain
Mm-hmm.
wrestlers are. They understand if
And
not everyone doesn't know who they are.
I hate when people are like, "Who is this guy? Why are they not telling me?" If you listen to the fucking commentary, Excalibur tells you exactly who these people are.
Yes. Even more than Excalibur, even sometimes I will hear Taz talk about a wrestlers from their history past. Or before Jim Ross, when he was doing limited commentary appearance, Jim
Mm-hmm.
Ross also did his best to tell you who a wrestler was. And that's the thing. Everyone's just hoping that the company will just basically tell you everything before their first match. No offense, guys. If you don't, I can watch a. I've watched a couple of Ring of Honor matches under Honor Club, and there were some wrestlers who I knew nothing about, but I was able to get an understanding of who they were from how they wrestled in the ring and who their opponent was.
Mm-hmm.
Even when commentators were talking about their history, like who they trained under, or like what their goal here in the Ring of Honor is. I
The
don't.
great thing about watching wrestling from everywhere is that you learn who people are. I didn't know who Kenny Omega was until 2016, and what got me into it is matches with Okada.
Yeah.
I knew who Okada was. I loved New Japan. I didn't know who Kenny Omega was. I knew he had something to do with the Bullet Club, but when I started watching those matches, I got who the character was, and I followed him all the way to now because I took the time to go watch matches.
But ultimately, in the end, as I mentioned before, it's all about if you call yourself a fan of wrestling,
Mm-hmm.
it's all about how you're defining your fandom in wrestling. I don't want. I'm
One
never.
more
I
thing,
don't want
sorry.
huh?
One more thing, sorry. The amount of people who didn't know who Mystico was
Oh,
so funny, considering he was Sin Cara in WWE.
exactly. And it was hilarious. They even read. They read. I mean, I believe he was mystical before he went to WWE. So
Yeah,
it's
he
really
was.
hilarious how even when they were building him up, Triple H was really trying to build the whole thing with Mystico
Mm-hmm.
becoming Sin Cara. Even when Asuka came, she was called Kana in NXT when she showed up behind her and highlight it said Kana to Asuka.
Tommy End, aka Aleister Black,
Yeah, when he
he
showed
was
up at
Tommy
NXT,
End on the UK title
Wrestling.
tournament.
Yeah, even when he showed up at the first NXT UK match, I mean NXT UK event, everyone they were calling him Tommy End.
Tommy End.
And then when he was repackaged to to Aleister Black, it's really insane how so many fans are willing to throw their intelligence at the front door and step on it when they walk into WWE. Well,
yeah,
I won't hold on to WWE. AEW did make those mistakes in their first year of not explaining who certain wrestlers were, which was important. I will be honest, because knowing who wrestlers are important. I'm not saying AEW is not infallible. They made mistakes during their years, and it is irrelevant. I mean, not it is
relevant.
Huh?
It's relevant?
No, it's not relevant or irrelevant. It is irrefutable. It's irrefutable to say that they haven't. They have made their mistakes. And
without a doubt.
They're learning. Yeah, that's the point of a growing company. They are learning from their mistakes. I never expected by their fourth or third year that AEW was going to get their shit in order. I knew even when they started attracting more bigger and bigger stars, it was going to be a tough issue because before CM Punk came in, they had a mix of rosters. They had a mixed roster of a mixture of independents, of independent wrestlers, some wrestlers who left WWE, not any true top big stars. They were really all about growing. So when CM Punk did come into the fold, and then later on followed by Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson, that's where you really truly started getting the top quality stars coming on in.
Yeah.
Even when Toni Storm started coming in, sure, she was fumbled. She was really not handled well in WWE. But if you knew her running NXT, she was a top quality star.
Yep.
So this whole thing with Akon going after looking for top free agents, that's what any wrestling company is gonna do. Triple H is doing the same damn thing. He's looking for free agents.
I mean, hell, he just signed Julia.
Oh yeah, with the partnership with Rossi's new well, actually, the less I talk about that guy, maybe the better.
That's fair.
I mean, I don't know. Who knows how that guy's promotion is gonna go with? But even then, even now, with Stardom is now being a part of in New Japan Pro Wrestling, that's opening door. And the fact that Rocky Romero is a vice president of both New Japan and AEW, there is a shared partnership happening here. To where, guess what, guys? If you're gonna keep doing this, who's this person with these Joshi wrestlers? Get used to it because there's gonna be more coming.
Trust me, I don't watch Stardom, and that's not because I haven't tried. I have. I can't really follow the storylines when I try to get into it in certain times.
There were some Joshi matches in Stardom I tried paying attention to, and of course, some I've come across where they don't have the subtitles, so I'm listening in the Japanese language. So I'm just like, okay, what's happening in the ring? I'm focusing on the ring.
Yep. But I say that because I didn't know who those 6 women were at the Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor show.
Yeah.
When they did the Stardom crossover match.
Oh no, yes, I do.
I fucking loved that match. That was an amazing match, and I didn't have to know who all these people were because the in-ring work and the commentators taught me who these people were.
Yes.
So again, rant over. I know it wasn't as big as some people thought it was, but yeah, I'm tired of people saying that AEW only cares about 5-star matches when the entire show was built around storylines. All right, we have been going for over 2.5 hours. Ryan, where can people find you online before we head out?
Well, other than on this platform where Hunter and I discuss Week of Wrestling, you can find, if you do want to hear me talk wrestling, or if you do want to hear me have my other opinions on wrestling, I have a podcast called Wrestling Ramblings and Rages. So trust me, I do have an occasional tangent or rant when I pop up on that. But on our podcast, we are trying to be more variety in our wrestling topics. So we do top 10 lists or top 5s. We do talk about wrestling news. We'll do the occasional pay-per-view. We'll do the pay-per-view review. We'll review a pay-per-view. And we have been doing other instances where at least now this year, my co-host James Shimo and I, we are trying this new venue to where we're going to take our turn trying to fantasy book a style. Fantasy, do our turn of fantasy booking. He has an episode current. Oh, sorry, I should say where you can find it. You can find it
Yeah.
on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. It is available on Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. I think yes, it is iHeartRadio and Pocket Casts. We do have. We've been on the back burner right now because unfortunately at this point life's starting to kick us a little bit in the it's kicking us in the yam bag area, so we are taking a bit
Yeah.
of an unfortunate scheduled break, but currently the episodes we do have out available right now. We did a top 10 on Royal Rumble winners. We did a top 10 on wrestling couples, shoot and kayfabe. We were halfway into doing a March Madness bracket of the best and worst gimmicks. And even then, James does have a episode out there of how he originally would have pitched Cody Rhodes finishing the story. He did this in January, so this was before, and it was way before the introduction of The Rock into the storyline, the final boss, and all of that with Seth Rollins, the Shield, and before WrestleMania. And currently, right now in the can, I have an episode where I fantasy booked the Dark Order as a top heel faction.
Ooh.
I will admit, the way I booked them is definitely going to be different to how anyone else was predicting how they would be booked. But I mainly booked them to be a consistent heel faction. I'm not trying to set low expectations, but once that episode is fully out there, just give it a listen. If you liked how I booked them, then you can come and yell at me about, oh, you're no good at fantasy booking. Okay? It's my first time.
Anything else you want to plug before we head out?
Nothing else right now, so I'm good.
All right, guys, if you did enjoy it, please hit that like button, subscribe to Nerd Entertainment Network down below. See you guys watch. We'll see you guys soon.
Later.